I'm not going to lose track, but I'll tell a funny story about running into Mark from Suicide Silence in traffic one day. If anyone's ever driven there, if you're going to make a left-hand turn, you wait for the light to turn red and then you turn left. And sometimes like 3 cars will go. They're all waiting to turn left. The flow of traffic never stops. So you have to literally wait until the light is red to start turning left. Mark was in that 3rd car position, right? And he was like, I'm going to go for
asshole.
it. Yeah, but he was like, let me get a look at the guy who I'm about to cut off. And it was me. And we both had our windows rolled down, and he just went, ah. It was so funny. It was so funny. But that's like that's just like I said, that thing just happens in the greater Los Angeles region more than you'd expect.
Real quick before getting into today's episode, just wanted to shout out a few quick things. First of all, we have a Patreon. For as low as $1.50 a month, you can get early access to these episodes as well as your name in the credits. And with the $5 tier, you can gain access to member-only channels in our Discord server. Secondly, we have merch. 2 designs that we absolutely love. You can find those over at indiemerchstore.com. And last but not least, we do these podcast recordings live on Twitch. So if you want to be a part of the conversation, see these as they happen. We do those every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. Links to everything I just mentioned will be in the description, along with links to our Discord server and our other socials. That's it. That's all I got to plug. Enjoy the episode. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Big Chocolate with us for the 3rd time. Our number 1 most recurring guest on the show. Believe it or not.
I'm honored. I love it. Yeah, beginning of the year. So it's that time of the year again.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm liking it. When he told me, he's like, dude, let's do it. I was like, I mean, you just said it was a filler,
Walking Dead filler episode. That's what I don't want this to be.
That's low, though. That's low. Like, being compared to a filler episode, not even Walking Dead. Like, to me, it's already kind of low, if I'm being honest. But, like, the filler episodes I'm like, oof, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to be compared to. That's rough. That's definitely rough.
I'll do my best.
Let's go back to 1st season of Walking Dead, at least.
At least. But apparently you had people hitting you up being like, yo, are you doing that podcast again? It's the beginning of the year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right around the beginning of the year, it was like, Brutality podcast? And I was like, probably. And then literally the next day, you were like, Brutality podcast? And I was like, yep.
I mean, we got to do it now. We're going to have to always do it. Now it's a thing.
I'm a fan of the thing.
I mean, we won't be able to cool guy you know, in a few years or whatever. We're gonna have to pity keep you around every single once a year to do one of these filler episodes.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, it's just gonna keep it. We'll call it the burn of Big Chocolate. You know, every year you guys just bring me on and roast me.
Yeah, the big chocolate roast. That'd be something.
Yeah,
maybe we get some more people to join into, you know, we call some extra guests in just to roast you.
Yeah. Well, it's been a big year. You guys' podcast, badass, you know. I mean, I've said that every year, right? Even like the very beginning.
Yep.
But like
the very beginning, you were like episode like 5.
Yeah, and I was a fan of it, you know. So it seems like just love watching the trajectory keep going. So congrats to the boys here. Great job.
Thank you. Yeah. It's the biggest, like, we're both in shock, if I'm being honest with you, like in terms of in a good way, but like we were people don't owe us anything, right? So for us, it was just like, I was expecting so many just no's, just straight up, maybe another time. And people were just like super cool. So next thing you know, it's working out.
Well, I like to say what you guys are doing is contributing to the culture, which is how I look at like what anyone's doing, right? It's like if you're doing it and you're trying to make contributions, it's like it's gonna work basically. And like Probably all the people you were interviewing are making contributions to the culture or have made contributions, and you guys are 1,000% major contributors to the culture. You know what I mean? So it's awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you
man.
guys.
Well, I mean, we keep saying it, like the amount of times that me and Dom afterwards, like, the show's and then we're just like, what just happened? Like that was so sick. So for us, it's super cool, but it's also blowing your mind every single time somebody's like, especially somebody like you who's been around, and not saying you're old. I mean, I'm old, so I'm allowed to say that. My back is hurting a little bit,
Dude,
but
let's talk about that old thing for a second, because
okay.
the only thing I use really on like online or social media is TikTok now, and the trend, it just, you see there's so many trends, but I love Generation Z. I think they're awesome. I absolutely love them. I'm a huge fan, but they're obsessed with anyone older than them. And when we were growing up, I don't remember ever caring or even thinking about it like for a second. You know what I mean? And then Gen Z, it seems like Gen Z is just obsessed with like everyone older than them. And I love, like, the new trend, the trend video where it's like, what year were you born in? And they're like, oh, 2004. And people are like, cool. And it's like, oh, what year were you born in? And they go 19, and then like cut it to like Jurassic Park music and show an old picture. So funny. Like, I don't get it. But then I saw a good clap back. They did the same thing but in reverse. It's like, oh, what year were you born? And people were like, oh, 1989. Cool. And then what year were you born in? Like 2000. And then it cuts to them like on an iPad as a baby. Yeah. I'm like, dang, yeah, birds. We were all outside.
Oh, yeah. This week I was just saying that, dude. Like, I work in a skate shop, like, just it's a part-time thing, and it's super
Cool.
chill, but like people are younger, right? Like they're like 19, 18. And I was looking at them this week and I was like, I saw the beginning of internet. Think about it. I was there when it was with the phone thing. With like another sound, and like, mom, I want to finish my game, and like they want to make a call, and they were just looking at me like, yeah, I don't know what that is. Like, I have no fucking clue.
You were like, kids, one morning I turned on the TV and I saw an airplane crash into a building, and they were like,
oh, we did.
They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that was crazy. That wasn't cool. It was crazy.
I was trying to channel my inner Norm Macdonald. Shout out Canada.
You probably know more Canadian culture than we do, for what it's worth.
There's a good chance. There's a good chance.
But there's like different kinds of looking at older people, right? Because it's funny we're talking about. I was literally thinking about this week. Like, I kind of, we'll have conversations with like some of the up and comers in the scene that are sometimes like 17 years old. And if I think, and I'm 35, let's say. So that's kind of like when I was 17, my parents were around that age, right? And they were for sure, to me, the least cool fucking people on the planet, right? But at the same time, like, all the people that were doing what, I don't know, like Jackass or fucking doing the cool rock stars and shit. I mean, they were all older for the most part, probably a similar age, right? So I just think there's like different ways of looking at, that it's like an age gap, but it's different for different people, right? I just think a lot of us relate back to thinking about our parents, and that's just inherently never going to be the the cool image,
Yeah, very true.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it is funny though. I do like getting a little older and like watching now younger people like do stuff and meeting them and stuff. I don't know. I'll probably be like that forever. I'll probably be like when I'm an old man, be like,
I'm with you.
What's going on?
It's cool to see. It's cool to see.
I love it, but I keep thinking about the fact that they might be looking at me the way I was looking at my parents. Right? That's my only fear.
Could happen. That could
it's like,
happen.
Who the fuck is this old guy?
Yeah, I'm noticing. You feel really. I'm gonna tell you one thing that makes you feel old in life. Like, I was just telling you that at the shop, there's like younger people. The moment I have to ask for a term, like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh no. Like,
what's the last term you had to ask about?
What's the last slang you learned?
What was it? Now it's my memory, which it's another age thing. No,
Oh,
I don't.
dang.
I'm gonna
You're
think about it
cooked.
because I couldn't recall. I cannot tell you right now. I'm gonna think about it because I'm gonna be obsessed with it now. But I think by all the conversations we had about that specific topic, I think the reason why they seem to be obsessed is they think our era was way cooler. Like, I mean, like
It
when I
was
talk
cool.
with it was because when I talk with them, like there's a big, don't get me wrong, I mean, like people are having fun, they're playing Fortnite. We had like the golden age of like Call of Duty in the beginning. We had like Lord of the Ring. Like they cannot even name one thing they had, like what they did, like Frozen, like they had basically nothing in comparison. So like we had all the big franchise, like the industry just changed. It's not their fault. Things just change, like with streaming and everything. They don't have the same budget. It's difficult. You would like to make a movie like Lord of the Ring now, it would be very difficult to make. So when they look at our era and like they buy CDs, like I was talking with them this week, and they were like, "Hey, just got," for them it's vintage, which hurts every time. But they were like, I have Meteora from Linkin Park, and they're like, "It's cool. I like vintage stuff," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna see myself out." So that's great. Cool.
Where do you guys keep the gun in the store?
Yeah.
Just ask for a friend.
Is that building tall? Like, I'm not sure if it's. So it was pretty crazy. But what they've been telling me, like they're using what old cassettes and cameras to film their part. They're just missing what we had. Like, let's be honest, guys. Like, renting movies was cool. Like, I know it's
awesome.
less. It was awesome. Like, you're with your people. You're buying food. It was an event. Now people are scrolling on a phone and trying to find something on Netflix desperately. That's kind of, it's different, right? Like I'm generalizing. It's not everybody, but long story short, they missed the era that we had. I think more than they look up to us, if that makes sense. I think
Well,
that's what I'm hearing, but
I
maybe I'm
think
wrong. Maybe I could be wrong, or maybe
I
I'm
feel
just
like
lame and they look up to other people. That's
I feel like every generation is like that, you know? Like we grew up in the 90s and the 2000s, you know, like kids in the 90s and like teenagers in the 2000s.
yeah.
And it's like when I talk to people who like were teenagers in the 80s, like it sounds badass. Or like in their 20s in the 80s, I'm like,
It
damn,
does.
that must have been
Yes.
awesome.
Even
It's
cooler.
kind of a cliche, actually, to say you were born in the wrong generation. You know,
Yeah.
that's like a saying. You know,
Yeah, but I mean, I think about it a lot, especially with like video games, like having an N64 and then having a Dreamcast and then an Xbox,
Man.
like just wonderful games. And, you know, there was a moment where I was like, is it nostalgia? And then after a lot of contemplation, especially like getting back into playing video games in the past couple years, after like not really messing with them for like 10 years.
We're going to
I'm
need to
like,
talk about that, by the way. We're going to definitely need to
yeah,
talk
I'm
about
down. Games are. I've come to accept that games are awesome, and but the games were really magical, and I don't think it's nostalgia. I think they were really just great games, you know. And it is kind of weird. It's like, why aren't they making good games anymore? And there's probably a lot of reasons for that too. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to make a game in some ways, like a Unity engine, so you can make like a clone of something really easy, where like back in the, I don't know, but there was plenty of trash games. Actually, there's this YouTube channel, this guy, he just beats every N64 game, and he
What's
just
the channel? Because I'm
I have
definitely
no idea what it's called. It's like, it seems like he made a YouTube channel with a random username, and then later on it became like he actually started to take it seriously. So it's like,
like
I think the guy's name is Stad, but at first I was watching his videos just randomly, and I was like, this guy is, he's got like a really particular voice, and I was like, this kind of like annoying content, but it just really grew on me. Now I think it's hilarious, and it's, when he's done, it's going to be this amazing archive of literally every N64 game like kind of played through.
Such a
And
beautiful console,
there's a
by the
bunch
way.
of there's a bunch of trash games, like no doubt there's
Yes.
games that are just like, this is a joke.
Weird.
And those are maybe
Weird
nostalgic because they're trash, but the ones that are good, I'm like, dang, they don't make games like that anymore. And the
Well,
experiences you used to have with them too were just different.
100%. We talked about this, and I think it was the limitation. They had to be so freaking creative. You look at like PS1 game or even like PS2 and that generation, like now you can do anything, which, not to defend them, comes with a certain pressure. You had all the technology in the world, all the time in the world. Now we have I mean, Elder Scrolls, I'm going to play that in my retirement probably. Like, so
Yeah,
it's,
I'm actually waiting to play that because I know I could play it 20 years and it'll probably be sick. I don't
oh,
want to. I got too much going on to like open a game like that. So I'm like, as soon as that came out, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna wait till I'm like, I don't know, maybe I get in some kind of accident, can't like move out of bed for like 2 months or something.
That's like the
I'll
only
just
time, the only possible moment for you to find the time to play a game like Elder Scrolls is if you
Yeah.
get a car wreck.
Yeah, well, I'm in my youth, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
be
the
the
analyst saying, I'm gonna wait till
invalid
retirement. Otherwise,
It's been 20 years already, man.
what?
he's going to be
Oh,
in the
God.
ambulance just thinking like, oh shit, yeah, I'm definitely playing that game. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, I don't think like if I, you know, you have, let's say I don't get laid up in bed for 2 months and I can't play Elder Scrolls, or let's say I don't make it to retirement and I'm like have like a flash of like life review before death. I don't think I'm gonna be like I never played Elder Scrolls, like you know what I mean. So I don't think I'm missing anything either way, you know, in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, I feel
You don't know that, you haven't played.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
point.
I see that those like nostalgia posts for like it's the year is 2001 and you go to the movie theaters and this is what's playing and like literally there's like 7 movies playing and they're all timeless bangers. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's from our era. I'm sure like every decade has had its fair amount of slop, but like there's a lot of good stuff. And I'm trying to really dive into more movies and stuff today. Like I got a cousin who's like a big film buff and I'm like I think about streaming too, of like, you know, not every movie on streaming is a great movie. And there's a plenty of great movies that aren't on streaming. So like this is like the blockbuster that I'm in now is like a limited version of it and probably doesn't have like the great movies that of this era in there yet. And then you just get lazy. Like, you know, every weekend we'd go rent like 3 movies. And you know how like bad I want to have to see a movie to want to rent it on like Amazon or something. Like I'm like, I got to get over myself and just start renting movies. You know, it's true though.
It is crazy that there's no way I'm gonna pay to rent a movie in
Yeah,
the year
$3.
2026, right? I'm like, nah, fuck that. But you know, that was what we did, and we didn't know if it was gonna be any better back then. You know,
No.
it'd go off the
Yeah.
fucking cover or some shit. You know, there's no, it wasn't even necessarily because you heard good reviews or anything at all, right?
True. Well, I do like Letterbox a lot. I don't know if you guys use that. It's a great movie app. It's awesome.
I don't know what it
do
is.
not watch enough movies to.
I'm
have a
watching
Letterboxd
DVDs
account.
still. I'm kind of like I'm buying DVDs at the moment, and I just watch animes on
Vintage.
Crunchyroll. Yeah, I'm
Vintage,
really
vintage.
vintage. I really landed. Once they said it, I'm like, okay, now I'm just gonna live vintage. But it's the feeling of the, and I know some people don't. A lot of people probably don't care about that, but I don't know. It's just different to me. Like you were talking about games and stuff, and tons of people like it's expensive. I have a lot of retro consoles and stuff. I have 2 Nintendo 64, the first Xbox, Xbox 360, PS2, etc. And it's just like it's different. Like people are like, oh, you could emulate it. No, I don't. Like I want to start it, have the controller. I want the full freaking experience of the thing, and that I think is 100% based on nostalgia. That I can admit it. It's 100% based on that. I think, but playing those games, first of all, for us people watching that are younger. When you would open the box, there was something in it. It wasn't a code. There was something. There was like a CD or something you could have. Like it wasn't just like a code. So
I'm sure you're
that,
blowing
I
a
think,
lot of
was
minds
cool.
right now with that.
Yeah,
statement.
yeah. There was like you would get something. Believe it or not, you would get something. You buy something, you get something. And another thing that might be surprising, the game was finished. It was playable. It was
Well,
fine. You
for
could
better
play
or for
it.
worse, right?
For better or
Yeah.
for worse, yeah, sometimes.
You know, it's funny because I do kind of feel like we're like almost in like kind of like a Renaissance era we don't really recognize yet because things are like creativity is very abundant right now, and it's never been easier, I think, to be creative. I don't mean it's never been easier to like be seen or anything, but in that regard too, it also is. So there's like all these things kind of going on with that as well. But I just kind of think it's like every era is going to have their thing, you know what I mean? And it's just like you just got to make the best of it wherever you're at, you know. It could we could be it could be insane, or I don't know. I just think kind of lost my thought a little bit, but it was basically like something rooted in optimism of like you just kind of just got to figure out how to enjoy it regardless.
The other cliche is that you never know you're in the good times until they're gone, right?
Which is true.
But to that, you could apply that to today, right? Like we don't really know, like we didn't know back then that the things that we think today are still cool. Like we weren't really aware that those things were going to be still cool in 20 years type of thing. And so it's hard to imagine like what the things are from today that are kind of like maybe underappreciated, that like in 20 years we're gonna be like, oh, that was fucking sick, you know?
Maybe someday people are gonna miss YouTube, and maybe it won't be that. Like we really, I hope not, because I'm putting a lot of work in this. But like honestly, the way I see it exactly when I'm having conversations with younger people and stuff like that, and I keep saying yes at the same time, it was cool, but they're literally all my projects couldn't be made in those times. I couldn't have a YouTube channel, couldn't have like what we're doing right now. So as much as like I miss a lot of stuff, of course there's a lot of things right now that are awesome. We're doing a podcast with people from around the world. Try doing that in the 90s. It's
Big Chocolate can put out like fucking 50 songs a year, you know?
And he's doing it.
Like,
well,
no
to be fair, he was doing it back with MySpace, but yes, he can still do it.
Dude, I really think like I've thought a lot about that too, with just like releasing music. And, I'm always kind of riding a wave of sorts and, learning as you go, right? You have like some intuition, but you kind of learn as you go with, making decisions. And some of the decisions you don't need to talk about too much. A lot of them are internal, right? Like if you talk about what decision should I make too much, then you end up making no decision kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, I really feel like it's a great time to, if you have like the ability to put out a lot of music, I think it's a great time to put out a lot of music. And that's like kind of almost like controversial because it's very you could have a lot of objection around it. Like, are people going to miss stuff if you put out too much music? And it kind of comes back to, well, is it, do you want to put it out, because like for every song I put out, there's probably like 4 that don't get put out. And for whatever reason, right? So it's not like I'm just like releasing everything on my computer all the time for the sake of just doing it. It's like, there's like anything, it kind of makes the cut
things. And
yeah, but I do think it's a really interesting time to do that.
Even the shitty songs or whatever unfinished bullshit, just to put it out, which could be feasible in today's world with how easy it is to put music out, right?
Yeah, doesn't mean every song I put out isn't, there's not some shitty ones in there. I'm sure there is, because it's like ways I feel about songs I do is different than ways other people. There's song I've sent people like demos, and they're like, this is the one I like the most. And I was like, that's the one I can't wait to delete, So you never know who's going to like it or what. But I think there's like an experimental era coming up where I think you can get away with putting out a lot of music if you're making a lot of music. And I kind of learned that recently by putting out Big Slime Summer, which wasn't really like an album, but it was a lot of songs. They were basically like mini songs from the internet. They were kind of like, it was a comp of internet things. But then like dropping Galapagos in October, I think it was, and then dropping Soundscapes of Death 2 months later, like I was very like, how's this gonna go? Like I was even advised to wait till February to drop Soundscapes, and I was just like, I'm anxious. I want to get this out kind of feeling. I'm going to just like go with that gut feeling and learn if I made the wrong decision or if I should listen to other people's, like if that advice I got resonates in my gut a little bit after making a wrong call or something. But then Soundscapes came out and I was like, that was the right move. Like it felt good to double drop so quickly and it felt good to pull it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Well, we had
worked.
kind of a, we had a bit of a long conversation about this on the phone about just the cadence of releasing music and almost just kind of like what's expected out of a musician now, or what's, you know, how to keep people's attentions and stuff like that. And like to your point, I think like putting out 4 songs and then a few months later putting out a few more songs is kind of just a good cadence. Like it's not that's not weird to me in 2026, right? Like in a singles world and like in the short attention span kind of thing that we have, as opposed to dropping like a fucking 45-minute album. I mean, to me,
Definitely.
sounds like more of a risk than dropping a few 3, 4, 5 song EPs.
Oh yeah, but I think it has to complement on the back side of just like the process, you know what I mean? Like the decision to do an EP was because I was sitting on too much music and I was overwhelmed with the idea of actually going through each song and making it and sending it off my best. So I was like, let me just focus on 4 of them. And I focused out and like I got them all packaged and I loved it. And then Soundscapes was very similar, and there was more songs made between Soundscapes and Galapagos, but most of the songs from Soundscapes were made already. They were there before Galapagos came out. Maybe they didn't have vocals. Maybe the production was kind of like a little hairy or whatever. It wasn't as smooth to listen to, but they were fleshed out. And if I could have fleshed out 20 songs instead of 4, I probably would have done the 20 songs just to kind of, because I don't want it to sit there. I know that like more songs will come, more inspiration will come. And if that inspiration comes, I don't want it to get in the way of my like predetermined schedule of like, well, I already have these songs and this is the skit. Like, you know, like if let's say I have 20 songs and I'm going to do 4 EPs, right? 1 each season. It's like by the time I get to fall, I'm going to have a lot more music.
You've got more music. Yeah.
Yeah. And it might be the move creatively, because I really feel like the creative process gets complete when you release it. Like you get gratification when you finish a song. You're stoked when you like finish mastering it, send it off to distribution or whatever. But you really don't complete that circle or that feeling until it's out. Yeah. And so it's like
there's a feedback loop that comes with that too, right? It's more than just the act of putting it out. Like now you're getting positive or negative, you know, feedback from that you can put towards the next thing as well.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, and it's similar to like, you know, when let's say you make a song and you're loving it and then you show your buddy your song and you're in the room with him when he's listening and you hear it just how he's hearing it, not how you've heard it 20 times, but you literally hear what he's hearing. It's like that. Like you can put something out and not even read a single piece of feedback, not open your phone, don't see any text messages, don't go on the internet and read comments or anything. But you can just go on to Spotify or whatever and play your song, and just hearing it in Spotify, you're going to hear it differently than you did the day before, you know? So there's something to that aspect of it. And that part of it is really intriguing to me. And that's like a part of the juggle I feel of like playing with that element and also kind of facilitating your churn, right? Like the stuff you have and obviously making like smart decisions about like how you want to release it, because that's a part of the creativity. But it's like, I don't know, there's songs that I have that I want to release that I don't want to, like, if they don't make it on something, I don't want to like hang on to them very much longer. I feel like they have like not like a timely essence. Like if they don't come out now, they're not going to work. But it's like they need to come out now to paint the catalog in a certain way. Because I've had, you know, in the Disfiguring catalog, I think it was like after 2014 or whatever, like after Black Earth Child, the order was always out of order in terms of when I was making stuff to when I was putting stuff out. And that drove me nuts. Like if
Yeah.
you want to like listen to each album in chronological order, it was like it felt out of order to me, and I was like, I don't like that. So
Yeah.
I've amended that process, and I had to do it kind of publicly, right? Because I kind of like rebooted myself,
Hmm.
and a reboot can be scary because like you already have um I don't know what you want to call it. Like you've already contributed, you've already made contributions. So your next contribution, people want to see that trajectory go up, You want to see it, the people who are rooting for you want to see that trajectory go up. So when you have to reboot, sometimes it's hard to like, if there's a gap, you're more likely to come out lower than you are on the trajectory if you
Mm-hmm.
were like, being diligent or whatever. And saying diligent is kind of like a dumb word because stuff happens, right? You can't really
Yeah.
control but the
Outside of your control.
when I got rebooted, I've like I knew it was going to be a little rough, and I knew it was like I wasn't going to be stoked on everything, and I finally feel like I'm kind of like, ooh, now I'm really like, you know, the shit's behind me, and I'm now just like looking
Yeah, you
forward.
can just move forward. Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
do you get fed up with songs? Is that maybe also a part of like, you don't end up putting something out because it's been too long type of thing? Like, because I feel like that's a
Uh,
common thing. It's just like you've just worked on new ideas since then that you're more excited about type of thing.
oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like if
Like
you're going to
I
put
think
effort into something, you're probably going to put it into the thing you're more excited about, which is not the thing from 3 years ago, most likely, or else it would have
yeah.
come out already. I assume.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do think that's a important, and then maybe you can have you could develop a kind of a harsh perspective of like those songs
Yeah,
were
yeah,
meant
yeah.
to be like building blocks to what you're doing now. Even if there's some of those songs you have like stronger emotional attachment to than stuff you're doing now, it's like if it doesn't. And I've had this problem lately too, where I'll write songs and they'll just be a magical experience. Like the flow is real, like everything just comes together so fast and to the point where you question if it's even good because it came together so fast.
Yeah.
Like that was way too easy. Like this song can't be good. And then I'll have songs that take me like, I'll be chipping away at it for like 4 or 5 days, and it's frustrating as hell. And the reason I chip away at it is because the session might be fragmented, that magic and flow might not be there, and then I go and like listen to it in the car on the way to the gym or something, and I'm like, this is a banger. Like, why did you think this sucked? You go back, you like work on it. Maybe it's the same experience, and you just keep repeating that until eventually you're like, I think I pulled it off. It was a little bit of work, but whatever. So they're not all like that, and I think I only speak for myself with that because my style is so uh I don't want to say niched or unique, but it's just like I wouldn't be able to compare it to how like a more technical band might, like I always think of like the technical death metal bands like Zenith Passage or whatever. I don't know what that's like to write that kind of music. I don't know if it comes together really quickly or if it's like you're
Mhm.
writing like a section or two at a time. Because I'm usually like I'll write the whole thing in one sitting, or I write everything but the bridge in one sitting. And I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the music that I like sounds and feels like it was written like that. You know what I mean? Like a lot of like pop music sounds like it was done in like one thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the kind of recent stuff has been on the shorter side too, in terms of song length and stuff. I think it's heavily kind of groove based. There's always been an element to that, but I think specifically recently in the past few records, it's kind of like you're building off of this one thing. I feel like it's like building off of like a riff, and it's kind of repeating itself, and maybe things are going in and out of it and stuff. I feel like it's more straightforward maybe than some of the more kind of acid trip induced stuff that Disfiguring has had done for a few records.
Oh yeah,
So in that sense, I
yeah.
feel like it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe the kind of feels like it came together more quickly type of thing.
I'm trying to think if I've ever written songs that like one particular song I wrote for like a couple weeks or something. Like if I was really like, and I don't think so. I think almost every disfiguring song I've written has probably the bulk of it has been done in one session, 1 or 2 sessions. Um, And then you have your outliers where it's maybe 3 or 4, but it's nothing.
Yeah,
it's not even more.
anything.
It's not even more. Sometimes it's a simpler song that takes you longer.
Right.
Like the jungle, the first track on Soundscapes took me quite a while. That was a hard one, and the reason it was hard is because the idea was so good, but it was not. It was a simple idea, but in the session it was very complex over like even just like the vocal. There's so many different like effects that go on it, and like pitching, and then even like stereo width. Like there's parts where it's like mono, and there's parts where it's wide, and I didn't want it to be like this like sound design experience. I wanted to just hit like a song, and using kind of sound design to like have it continue fluidly.
You were talking about this, and that's exactly what came to mind, was the fact that I feel like those first 3 songs on the new EP are very they feel very concise. Like they're very like for how eclectic the merging of styles is, it feels singular still. Like it doesn't feel like, hey, here's like over the top EDM with like this other crazy thing that should not work at all. Like it fits. It seems more like a concrete block. So I feel what you're saying there. Like it's not like it's not weaving in and out this fucking wacky shit. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I took away when I first listened to specifically the first 3 songs, because the last 2 are kind of more like straightforward. There's like less electronics going in, but those first 3 tracks, I really enjoyed the fact that it sounded like a bit more of a straightforward thing, despite it being complex, obviously, right?
Yeah. The jungle was the most complex. The other 2, the instrumentals, at least, like they were all there after one day. I don't want to put an hour on how long these sessions were or anything, because I don't really think that matters. It just was like both of them were done in one session, and I don't think I really changed that much. Maybe like in Dip Down, for example, after the first, it starts up, the instrumentals like really mellow, and then it like has this section, and then it goes down to really mellow again for not as long, but then it has like a kind of like a B-side section of the first section before it goes into the bridge outro part. In that middle breakdown, and when I mean breakdown, I mean like a break, like there's nothing going on. There was like these kicks that happened, and there was 2 of them, and the second one needed to be like kind of blown out, like thrown out with reverb or something, and it wasn't. It just like hit again dry, and that was I think the only real thing I changed about the production on that one from like when it happened. The big thing with those songs was go on.
I mean that's like production stuff though, right? That I feel like production stuff you could theoretically go on forever. Like that's a little, obviously it's part of the songwriting, but that's kind of like I'm assuming a bit of an after the fact kind of thing, right? Like you've got the idea in your head, it's already composed, right?
Yeah, you're not gonna tweak the details enough to make the song any better or worse at a certain point. It's just like Shadow of Death is a good example too. That song has a lot less electronics in it. It's a lot more straightforward. Like everything about it's different. Different drum kit, different guitar tones, different guitar players. James Williams played a lot on that song. He also does vocals on that song too. And I had different people in the room. I had Aaron and Noah in the room the entire time. All the 4 of us were kind of like cooking on that.
Was that one from the LA thing you did?
No, that one was after the LA thing. James came down,
right? Yeah.
James came up, and it was sometime, I think it was, God, I don't remember. It was before Galapagos. He came up to do music videos for Galapagos and like just make stuff. And every time James and I are around each other, it's kind of like, well, he always brings a bunch of instruments, and I'm always like, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this, like show you around. And then he gets in the door, and I'm like, we're just gonna make music. And that one, Aaron and Noah are around. And I don't know what we were doing. I don't know what the plan was, but we all kind of cranked that one out. We did the vocals the same day. That song was like totally done all in one day. And I remember like a lot of the drum work, especially when I'm working with other people in the room, or especially if someone's playing an instrument. And I do this on my own tracks too. The drums will be very, very basic the whole time. And then after the song is written, I'll go back and usually before vocals, I'll really spend some time with the drums, and mainly like drum fills or whatever.
Accents
and then
shit. Yeah.
exactly. So when the vocals come in, you can kind of be more inspired by, you know, how the drums are moving, and maybe you complement that a bit. But also, like, you want to like cut stuff out, like have dropouts or anything. It's usually done when the vocals are there or coming in. But that song, I remember like we were listening to the demo, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go hard in the production on this one. Like, I'm gonna have to go like really go into the drums on this one, and I never did. I just like got used to it, and I was like, this song sounds good to me now. So there's nothing to do, you know. So yeah, that was Then I like that. I like that about that record. How the last two tracks are like different, and the last track was actually supposed to be like a TikTok video. It wasn't supposed to be like an album song.
Okay.
Yeah, there is this Reno band called Chrome Grill that's brand new, buddies of mine, and they were like jamming, and Noah's in that band, and he was like, "Can you record us?" And then I was like, I don't know, like, I guess I could like show up with a bunch of microphones and record the drummer. And then I had this idea where I was like, why don't I just produce it exactly how I would produce my stuff and kind of like go that route. And their vocalist is awesome. His name is James Webb, lives in Reno, and he just like, his vocals are perfect hardcore vocals to me. He sounds excellent, like A-tier vocalist in my book. And I remember like hearing him and just being like, dang, like, and he's a great songwriter. Like some of the demos I had for Chrome Grill were kind of like, and then James comes on and like made it like a great track. And so I really wanted to do a track with me and James where it was like back and forth between like brutal vocals and then like this like kind of hardcore sound. And so they were all there working on Chrome Grill one day, and I was like, let's do this. Let's write a cipher, which is like when you do the whole thing in one go, and it's usually around 60-second song. Just like all of Big Slime Summer was just a bunch of ciphers. And I remember I just bought this new guitar. It was a Gretsch baritone, and I tuned it to like E octave, and then below the E octave was drop A. It was like just dumb, and it just sounds gross. I have the vintage pickup still in it, and I really wanted to use it. I just got it, so I'm like cooking up this song, and everyone in the room is just like doing this on their phones, and I just felt no energy in the room. And at a certain point, I'm like, is anyone feeling this? Like, I feel like this sucks and I'm horrible. And then James was like, no, this is cool. I've already written the song. And I'm like, okay, cool. And like pretty much right there, I was like, get on the mic. Like, you know, I gotta like relax from that.
Tough crowd.
Exactly. And he just beasted out the whole song. And then I just went and like replaced every other like, you know, section of his.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and that was the song I sent to a few people, and everyone was like, you should do like an actual video for this. So we did one video for it. It was actually, to me, it felt pretty botched because we had to plan it. This band, a lot of the guys are involved in a local DIY venue here, hardcore venue. So we just were going to shoot it at the venue. And I was like, really like, I needed to get a camera guy. I was like scrambling for someone to use the camera. And when I actually got to the shoot, I had everything, lights, batteries, but I didn't have lenses. And the only lens that was on it was like this fisheye lens. And I was like, damn it, this isn't going to look sick, but you know, maybe it would be cool. And it came out cool. I kind of want to redo it, but I don't know. It was just like an internet thing, really. And then it ended up being like, let's put this on the record. This is a cool one. So last two ones are wild. Yeah. What's that?
I mean, I wanted to kind of touch on like you've been working a lot more in recent couple of years with other people, because I feel like for the longest time it was way more of a solo thing. Yeah, you became a social butterfly all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I feel like I have this really strong desire to collaborate, and maybe for the last like 4 years or something, 5 years, I don't know, I've really seen Disfiguring as like this unique project that can be highly collaborative. Like if someone's like wants to do like a vocal feature or something, I'm like, you're not doing a vocal feature, we have to do a song. Like you have to be involved in the song. Your vibe needs to be imprinted in it somehow or or some way. So yeah, I've been really trying to get more into that, but in my own kind of natural way. And I kind of like when someone sits in the room with me and I'm making music, that's like first of all, at this point in my life, like my circle's pretty small, and especially like living in Nevada, it's even smaller. So it's like the people who I will make music around are special to me. And if they're in the room, I'm going to make something that there's no way in hell I would make that if I was just in the room by myself. So I kind of like use that to like Noah. I've made quite a few songs with him recently, and like they're really unique to me. Like I really, really like them. I actually had him come down like a couple weekends ago, and I was like, let's make another song like this one that we made recently. And he was like, all right. And I made this crazy song, and it was like a process, we're bouncing off each other and stuff. And then afterwards I was like, that song's crazy. I can't believe we did that. He's like, you did that. I was like, no way. Like, there's no way I would have done that if you weren't in the room with me. So I look at even just the right person being in the room as a highly collaborative experience. You know what I mean? Even if they're not like,
physically playing the riff or whatever.
Exactly.
Like yeah.
Exactly. So I'm trying to lean more into that. I think there's a lot of potential with that element to it. And there's some, you guys know the band Four Stroke Baron?
I don't
No,
think
I
I
don't.
do.
Everyone, you guys and everyone watching this, whoever watches this, has to check out this band Four Stroke Baron. So you guys know Steve Joe?
Yeah.
So Steve Joe signed them to Prosthetic, like, I don't know when it was, like 2016, 2015 or something.
Okay.
And he sent me like their debut record, and he was like, have you heard of this band? Just signed them. They're from Reno. And I was like, no. When I like listened to it, and it's like kind of like progressive metal in a way. I don't know how to describe them. Every album is like very experimental, and they have like a lot of experimental blimps and stuff throughout the songwriting, but it's metal and it's progressive. I don't know, I wouldn't call it like periphery progressive metal style or whatever, but it's progressive and it's metal, but the vocals sound like new wave Tears for Fears type vocals.
Okay.
And I just got like obsessed with this band. Actually, the drummer is from Carson City. We grew up together, and I recorded his death metal band back when I was in high school. So I knew him immediately. And I think I was always like reaching out to him.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
But I became a fan, and I've like been following that band their whole career. Love the sound. Like I think they're one of the coolest bands that I know of that's from the last 10 years or so. And Steve Joe came to Reno to visit a friend, and they were having a barbecue, and he invited me and Four Stroke Baron. And I was pumped because I've never met the singer vocalist. It's a two-piece. It's a singer and a vocalist and the drummer. And the drummer I know, I haven't seen him in a million years, but I know him. He's unchanged. That was like the same exact experience. But when I met the singer's name is Kurt, he was like, dude, I've been obsessed with you for like the last 2 weeks. I've been doing a deep dive on everything you're doing, and I love it. And then randomly I get invited to this barbecue, and you're going to be there. And I was like, I mean, it was like totally mutual. I was like, well, I've been obsessed with you for a lot longer than 2 weeks, but I think everything you do is super rad. So we clicked, and then I was like, we should later on. I call him for like just advice on like little technical things and just chopping it up. And then it was like, we should make some music. And we made a couple songs. I really wish, or we had plans to make more, but those were like brilliant collaborative experiences. And like, if you listen to Four Stroke Baron, and then you can anticipate what Four Stroke Baron and Disfiguring the Goddess are going to sound like
Sure.
together, it's one of those partnerships where I feel like we could probably write 20 songs, and every song would be like absolutely bizarre, but still Disfiguring the Goddess and Four Stroke Baron. And on that, not to ramble too much, but on that note of like you said, like the first 3 songs were very different, but they still like sounded. They still are Disfiguring the Goddess tracks, like clearly. I made a song in December, and it didn't start out as a disfiguring song. It started off as like I don't even know what I was doing, just making music or something. And it was like a reggae dubstep EDM song, basically. But
Okay.
it was kind of like a hip hop song almost, but it had like this heavy reggae dub kind of like thing to it. And I even made it like, I was loving the beat and like kind of transitioned it into a drop or whatever. This is probably the track I've worked on the longest. And at a certain point, I was like, this is with electronic music, this doesn't have enough originality or artistic presence beyond production to, I think, make this song like not only a good song, but also anything that you're going to be able to release or do anything with. Because like even like if I wanted to release it as Big Chocolate as like an EDM beat or whatever, I don't think it would really contribute to anything. You know what I mean? And like back again to like just making contributions to the culture is like kind of the source of
So
everything
what? Fuck
anyone
it,
does.
throw gutturals over it, and at
Yeah,
least,
I was like,
at least I
need, yeah. And I remember when I was making it, I was trying to, because I've made it like Galapagos started like this too, where Galapagos was like an EDM track that I basically remixed into a Disfiguring the Goddess song. That was like how that song came into existence. It wasn't like, and people will ask like, how do you start a song? And it's like, well, in a lot of different ways. Like I've started songs starting with whatever element, multiple times. You always get different results, but that was a technique last year I was like really into, was like making a very simple EDM song or a very simple pop song, and then basically disfiguring the goddessing it. And that always felt, the end result was always very natural. So this I was trying to do that with, and there's like some kind of guitar riffs in the background that for whatever reason just sounded more like the beat and less like this disfiguring the goddess presence. And then I just was like, okay, this beat is done. I need to now like totally shift gears and figure out how to like metalify it basically. And that was a whole nother thing too. This song I'm talking about, I think is the song I've spent the most time on. And I don't even know how like good or well received or like it, I don't know how the contribution is going to amount to, right? But it's a cool song, and it's done. I'm definitely going to put it out there. But like, I back to like this needs some artistic element. I was like, well, Disfiguring the Goddess, it is like the artistic profile of like Disfiguring the Goddess's music is to me like a very good one and very original if it comes to the instrumentals or especially the vocals. I think is what really like defines it as, really stamps that Disfiguring the Goddess logo on it or whatever. So I just kind of trusted my gut with that, and man, it's a trip. So I mean, it'd be easier to talk about it if it was out. I promised myself that I wasn't going to talk about too much stuff that like, the whole like
what do you get, or the,
yeah. I was like, don't talk about too much stuff.
Don't make announcements of announcements.
Exactly. But they're coming up because we're talking about like the creative process or whatever and whatnot. I just have a couple like very recent examples that striked me as very unique when I was doing them. And I just love it. I just love where music's at. Or I love where music's at, but I really like where Disfiguring's at with how versatile it is. And it wasn't like that back in the day. Like back in the day, Big Chocolate was versatile and could do drum and bass, electro, metal remixes, whatever. And Disfiguring sounded like almost like it just was pumping out metal records when it did. And they were experimental and unique.
It was like a brutal death metal band. Like
exactly,
kind of what it came down to. Yeah,
exactly. And now, without really any like premeditative thought on doing this, it's just kind of been happening, and that's I can track it now in retrospect of how it happened and how it came to be. But it just scratches all the itches for me to where I'm not like making electronic music. If I'm making electronic music, they end up being Disfiguring the Goddess songs, and it's just like, I don't know. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it right now. It honestly sounds like a lot of it right now sounds like what Commissioner probably would have ended up sounding like anyways. Sure. And so that's also trippy to me too, is like, I never thought Disfiguring the Goddess would basically just sound like, future commissioner at one point, but kind of makes sense. But I don't know. I'm loving it. Again, I didn't want to talk too much about next year or anything, or this year, but like,
That's what we're here for, man.
I just been cooking.
Yeah.
I'm just
Chilling,
kind
dude.
of
It's
pumped.
cool.
Yeah.
But I just gotta say, like those like the Jungle, Radical Richard, Dip Down, like those styles of songs for me personally have been the most excited I've been about Disfiguring the Goddess songs. In a
Hell
bit.
yeah.
I love it. Again, like it's that I think the melding of the genres is just done so fucking well. To my taste, like I personally, I like when stuff's technical because I've got ADHD, and when it's kind of going all over the place, or maybe a little less, a little bit more experimental, that tickles my brain. But I'm not so much like when it's too spacey or like too ambiance. That sort of stuff kind of loses in general. Not necessarily speaking about Disfiguring, but then. So I found that in those types of songs, and on the last EP too, that kind of melding of it kind of reminds me a bit of like Peeling Flesh, in the sense that that's a bit of a more straightforward approach as well to blending genres. Like it's,
Totally.
it's like a beat and metal, or it's like brutal death or slam with like a beat, but it
Totally.
just works. Like it's simple, but it works. Or at least, from a listener's perspective, it's simple, right? It's kind of straight to the point. And I don't know. I've been loving that kind of direction. The two last EPs, man, I've been fucking loving.
Thanks so much. I really feel like they're like, they're the first like things I've done in a while where I'm like, okay, nice. Like I'm really, I feel really good about just how they were handled, and like, I'll use like baseball terms a lot. I just feel like they're both like pretty solid base hits. You know what I mean? Like made contact and got on base. Like good job. Like just keep doing that at a bare minimum. And
I feel like everything I was kind of describing too, I feel like it's maybe more accessible, and that's not necessarily like a win or a loss, or like that. There doesn't have to be any emotion attached to that, but I feel like listening to those songs, it's maybe easier for someone to understand what those songs are, compared to maybe some of the like crazy, wacky, experimental Disfiguring the Goddess stuff that's existed, right? Like I feel like I don't know. I personally find that cool. Like within the universe of it, to have some songs that are like that, I don't know. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think about that a lot too, because like one of my big things making music is I don't make music for anyone really, like I don't think about like the fans when I'm like making music.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people were like, oh, we got to deliver this to the fans, or like know your market or whatever. And and that's eaten me before, right? Like I've definitely done some stuff both with Disfiguring and with Big Chocolate where it's like the fan base is like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? And I'm just kind of like, I don't know, sorry.
I liked it. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I don't even like it. It's just like, that's just what I made, So there's always a bit of that. And it's like, I really feel like the newer stuff is more likable, but I don't really see that as like trying to make it more likable. I think I've just been trying to like up the energy from the songs itself, and I think the way that's been resonating into the song is it's just becoming more accessible and easier to swallow, because it just has the way I've been trying to generate more energy out of it is just kind of working, and it just has a bigger energy to it. And that's just from wherever someone is coming from with their taste or their backgrounds or what they like, they're able to find a connection to the energy that is growing from the progression of how the music's being made, basically. So, it's like I was actually like the Jungle and Galapagos, I was sitting on them both at the same time before Galapagos was released. And like, not to be like, oh, I'm not thinking about the fans, I was also like, if they like Galapagos, the track, then the jungle
they'll
will
enjoy that one too.
will
Yeah, it'll
be a
be a
good
nice
follow.
like kind of follow up. Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, you like that? Let me turn the heat up a little bit on that kind of that element of Disfiguring's catalog and see how that feels. Because the jungle, like, I don't know what the timestamp is, but it goes for quite a while before you even realize it's a metal song.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, I mean, there's like some, you know, it's like there's like some guitar ringing out, and like the bass comes in all mean. So you can kind of get a grip that it's like metal like, but you not disfiguring metal like maybe like a Sepultura kind of like metal vibe. and then as soon as like it gets to that drop where it's like clearly Disfiguring the Goddess, I'm like, okay, it works, you know. And that was cool too, because like that track we did in LA, and I think talk
to me a bit about those sessions, because I heard you talk a bit about it. I found it interesting, again, in the concept of collaboration and all this stuff. You took like a week to go to LA to basically just to write with people.
Yeah. So, I mean, not last year, but 2024, made a bunch of music, right? And there was a bunch of music that got released in the Big Slime Summer, but there was also like maybe 8 or 9 songs in the fall I was calling it Spooky Slime. And that was just like a bunch of songs. And those songs were like better. They were longer, whatever. And I was just like in a good spot. And then I kind of like took a little pause. I always get seasonal allergies, so I always have like a natural break. And then in February is when James Williams came up for the first time. And James Williams and I have been friends for like, I mean, I was 19 when I met James, and he was 16. And I was recording his band, one of his early deathcore bands, and they were based in Whittier, and I was in Huntington Beach. And I just hit it off with him. And we have a couple stories where like I'd go to Whittier.
I'm curious now.
It was called Defined by Fate.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the vocals of that band, Brian, actually went on to replace me in Burning the Masses, which is cool too. And but Defined by Fate, I don't know. I think they just had that one EP that we all did together. And but I hit it off with James. I just liked him. He was like a kid, truly a kid at the time. He was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was working on like the Abominable Putridity stuff, which actually didn't make the record, because I just like, you know, it was the Abominable Putridity record that Maddie Way is on, the blue one with the alien breaking out of the vase. Yeah, which is like I think their biggest record now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but the Abominable I was growing up with
alone is so fucking. It's so sick. Like it just makes you want to listen to that record. You know?
Oh yeah. But like when I was working with Abominable, the Abominable I knew was like skin removal, intros full of vermin, style. I know they have a record with those tracks on them now. I don't know what the record's called, but at the time I don't know if it was a record or not. But that was like the Abominable I knew. It was very, at the time I could reference it as Russian slam bands sounding like Texas slam bands. That was like the workaround. Okay. And then when I went out to Russia and played with Abominable, we played a couple of those new songs, and I was like blown away by how technical they were and not groove based. And then when I actually heard the recordings for it, they sounded so robotic. And there were so many sections, and it was really hard for me to like find the gas to like just commit to like finishing the vocals. And they were like, you know, where are the vocals? And I went and grabbed James Williams from Whittier and made him sit in my bedroom with me as I worked on those tracks. And I could just like lean over and be like, yeah, and I could lean over and be like, is this cool? Like, what am I doing? And he'd be like, yeah, it's cool. So we kept doing it. Years later, I heard my vocals on that record, and I guess some of the vocals I did for that record just made it as like a guest vocal spot that I didn't know about until like 10 years after the record came out. I guess I just never listened to the record either when it came out.
I guess so.
Yeah, but
kind of outing yourself there.
Yeah, but that was like, you know, that's like you know, how I would go hang out with James back in that era. And then I just kept in touch with him forever. Interesting. He's really, really funny. You toured with him once, right?
Yeah, I did a tour with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get to know him, he's a straight comedian. Like everything out of his mouth will make the whole room laugh. It's hilarious. But anyways, so he was kind of going through stuff. I was going through stuff. I was like, dude, get out of LA for a minute. Come visit me in Nevada. He was like, all right, cool. And I had this like whole trip planned. Like I was like kind of like almost like anxious. Like, what am I gonna do? Like I gotta show him here. I gotta take him here. I gotta do like the whole tour and everything. And then he showed up and he walked in the door with like 2 instruments. You know what I mean? His car was like full of all. He's a big instrument guy. And I immediately was like, we're just gonna make music. And we made some bangers. We made Lamora and Ghost Rider, and there's another track we made that hasn't come out yet from that time. And then we filmed the music video. And I was like, I really liked the experience because he's a great player and he's also a big Disfiguring fan. So he was able to sit next to me while I'm doing all my computer stuff. And every once in a while, he's just like kind of catching a vibe from whatever I'm doing. And I'm like, perfect. And I just like hit record. He records it. And I think when we did Ghost Rider, like when I was like, the song's done, he was like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't even know what I just did. And I was like, don't worry about it. It's a banger. And then we got all the vocals done. And I think at the very end of the process, he was like, okay, that moved really fast. And I don't know what the hell was going on, but that was cool. And I was into it because I was able to like maximize what I was doing without really thinking about guitar. And at the time I wasn't playing a lot of guitar. I actually like got a new guitar based off his recommendations from that time. And since getting that, I got a JP60 by Sterling. And
Okay.
he's like, get this guitar, get this pickup, and then like fix the tremolo, like put a wood block in it. So like I got the guitar. I fell in love with it immediately, but I took it down to the guitar shop and I was like, put this pickup in it, tune it to this, and then make it so the tremolo doesn't like put a block in it. And he was like, okay. I picked it up in like a couple weeks and I've literally been playing my ass off ever since. So I've, definitely up to my chops this year too. But, and then I was kind of like at a loss where I was like waiting to link with James again to make more music. And I remember kind of venting to him on the phone once and he was like, dude, like you could just do whatever. Like you're the kind of guy that you can just do whatever you want. You have the ability to do all of it yourself. And I was like, I don't know why I needed to hear that, but I was like, you're right. And then I just got into it again. The first thing I did was I did a newer Julia Wolf remix, and that was like a pop song that I Disfiguring The Goddess vibe, and I just loved it. And I was like, how do I do that again? Made like 3 pop songs and then remixed them into Disfiguring The Goddess. One of those was Galapagos, and then I was cooking. I was making bangers and all this stuff. And James started a new job and couldn't get out of LA. And I was like, well, I should go down there and write with James. I like this like collaborative thing going on. And at the time too, I was like collaborating with Aaron a lot with Disfiguring The Goddess, but mainly in the post-production stages.
Right.
Either if it was doing vocals at his house and we were kind of like doing the vocals together, or the mixing, mastering stuff. And he was involved in those Ghost Rider, Lamora tracks in that sense also. Like he was there when I was doing the vocals, and Aaron's the man. Like he'll do that thing where like I'm in the computer and I'm sitting in my chair and his head is just right here the whole time. And he's just like looking at the computer, and it sounds like it would be annoying, but he's like totally in the same flow I am. And he knows everything that's going on, like what I'm doing and shit.
Neural linked right into your brain.
Totally. So it's like we're just glued into it when we're like working on stuff. And that was true for all like the post-production and a lot of the vocals for Disfiguring, probably since 2024, late 2023. And so like I was like hit up Aaron. I was like, I'm gonna go to LA in July, and he was like, well, let's go this week and I'll go with you. I was like, awesome. Like this is awesome. So Aaron and I went down there. We got a Airbnb in Universal City, and James was working in Hollywood, so he was staying with us most of the time, but he was also working. So like during the day if James had an off day or something, all 3 of us were cooking, And just like my whole, instead of like trying to make full songs like we did the first time James was in Nevada, I was already in this like, I'm just cooking crazy shit, and I'm like really going into the experimental stuff big time. Like Galapagos was already made, the Julia Wolf track was done, both very experimental. Julia Wolf track's not out yet, so can't really, no reference there. But we were making about like 2 to 3, or maybe sometimes 4 songs, songs meaning like the idea was there enough to where I could end the session and I knew I could finish it later.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just utilize this
Just
where
the
we're
momentum,
at. Exactly. The spot and everything to just create as many ideas as possible. And that was kind of like a decision I made where I was like, instead of trying to write like 2 or 3 great songs, I'm just going to try to make as many things as possible and see what comes of it. And it was great. Like, Aaron's good friends with a drummer named Joe Lett, who I think right now drums for Till Lindemann. And Aaron met him when he was drumming for Combi Christ, and Aaron was touring with Combi Christ. And so they've been like buds forever. They even had a project at one point. I can't remember what it was called, like Fake Friends or something. It was like an electro project. And I've heard about Joe Letts a lot, but I've never met the guy. And then we would go to Guitar Center to buy like gear and stuff to, make the Airbnb work or whatever. Very Hollywood moment. You run into Joe Letts, and it's like, what the hell? This is LA.
That doesn't happen in Nevada.
No, but it happens in Hollywood, like, or LA greater, right? Like more than you'd think. Like so many random run-ins. I'm not gonna lose track, but I'll tell a funny story about running into Mark from Suicide Silence in traffic one day. I was living in Hollywood. This was like 2017, I think. And I don't know where I was going, but it was the middle of the day. And I'm driving around like kind of in that Hollywood region. I don't think I was like, on Sunset or whatever, but I was like probably going to like Koreatown or something. And around those parts. And, in LA, if anyone's ever driven there, if you're going to make a left-hand turn, you wait for the light to turn red and then you turn left. And sometimes like 3 cars will go. They're all waiting to turn left. There's just the flow of traffic never stops. So you have to literally wait until the light is red to start turning left. And sometimes people push it, like, the 3rd car will go for it. And people know that. So, no one's like, they're just like, all right, like, come on. And Mark was in that 3rd car position, right? And he was like, I'm going to go for it.
Asshole.
Yeah, but he was like, let me get a look at the guy who I'm about to cut off. And it was me. And we both had our windows rolled down, and he just went, ah. It was so funny. But that's like that's just like I said, that thing just happens in the greater Los Angeles region more than you'd expect. So we run into Joe Letts, and it's like, come on by. He was there buying drum heads. He was doing like some interview or something for some band. I can't remember the name of the band, but like a classic band that he was involved with. But Aaron was like, come by the Airbnb. And so like Joe Letts came by the Airbnb later that day, and we're playing him music. I think at the time we had like 3 songs from that day, and then we were showing him like Galapagos and like the Julia Wolf shit, and I could just tell that like everything we're playing, like he's never heard anything like it before. And I think it also ties into the fact that there's really not material that's like that in general.
Yeah.
And so like his girlfriend was there too, and she was like not a metal person, she was like an EDM fan. And we played her a track, and she was like, you should play this at an EDM festival. And we were like, what the hell is like this kind of feedback? And not like in a bad way, but like, this is weird. And, like a lot of stop bys like that. And like I said, like people stopping by and like you're showing them music in a vulnerable stage of a music process, and their vibe gets kind of imprinted into something regardless. At the time when Joe was there, we weren't making anything, but like just his showing them demos, it affects the whole thing.
You give them the 5-minute. Don't worry, it's not finished. It's gonna have more things here. This is the demo sound.
Yeah.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when you're working with, he walked in and we had the whole living room rearranged. I had my barefoot monitors. We had like the vocal chain. It's like nothing's gonna sound good in that room. Basically, it's like a big ass living room, 2 big speakers. And it's just like everyone knows what demos are like, so it's just like it is there energy or not?
But somehow we still, sometimes we still feel the need to
before he got there, everyone was kind of chilling, and I had my headphones on for about an hour trying to clean up the garbage we made that day in a presentable form. So if Joe came by and I showed him, it sounded at least a little more cleaned up. So whatever idea was there the energy peeked through as much as it could have at the time, right? And we just kept doing stuff. You probably don't know this group. They're called CD Ghost. It's like an indie. It's like an indie synth wave pop kind of thing. 2 guys, but my cousin's like best friends with those guys, and I've talked to them. One of them I've met him a few times, but he's like in China teaching English or whatever, so he's not here. And then Cody, the singer, he was here, and I've never met him. And he came by and like showed him shit and stuff. And I was like, let's make a song. So we didn't finish it. Like we basically made the song instrumentally, and then he kind of top lined some vocals over it. So it's like this badass song. He's like da 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 da, like just doing shit like that. Because he doesn't write the words. He's the singer, but he doesn't write. The other guy, who's the drummer, writes the vocals. So it's one of those types of relationships. And I'm like, man, we got to get.
You got to transform that. You just got to do the gutturals instead of his vocal line is what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I wanted to base the hooks already in it. And we just needed we needed a different type of songwriter in the room at the time. But so we just did a bunch of stuff like that. I don't know, it was kind of chaotic, honestly. Like, I was every day I was overwhelmed because I felt this immense pressure to perform, like I was like, we're down here. It's not cheap. Like everyone's taking time out of their lives to be here. Like we have to make the most of it. So I was like I don't want to say stressed, but I felt a lot of pressure on myself. So basically like the whole time I was there, I was at the desk trying to do something, or trying to set up something, or trying to refine something that we were doing. And we also did a lot of videos and stuff there too. So we'd at night, we'd bring all the lights out, shoot videos, and then I'd edit the videos. And I didn't honestly relax until the very last night, and we were leaving the next morning when I packed everything up. And as soon as everything was packed up, I sat on the couch and I was like,
passed out.
I was just like, you did it. Like, it's done. It's over. Like, chill. But so I was just trying to crank as many ideas as possible, and there's some great ideas from that. There's still some ideas from that I've yet to refine, and but that was kind of the whole vibe with that. And
don't sit on them for too long now.
That's the the time's ticking. So I'm trying to get a little more sleep at night so I can have a little more energy in the day to bring these things to life. Otherwise, they might just go to sleep forever. But that was and Aaron and I just love LA. I'm from Huntington Beach originally. Aaron's lived in LA as well at some point, and we just there is a definite energy down there that is, you can feel it. You could see why there's so many records made there. You could see why they made so many movies there and stuff. It's as soon as you get into some of the basins, it's a vibe, and we just pick up on it big time. Do we want to live there? Absolutely not. Aaron and I would go on walks every day, and at a certain point we were like, yeah, I don't know if I could be here for longer than 3 months without being I gotta get out of here or something. No offense. It's just that's just how we felt. Because look where we live. We live in I don't want to say middle of nowhere.
Opposite.
Yeah, and we're old enough now, and we live here for a reason. We just like it here now. We're old enough to deal with it.
You guys chose Nevada, not
Yeah, exactly. So that was a great trip. It really provided a lot of inspiration that even well after the trip was playing into parts. We had a lot of cool music. It was very collaborative. It was me and Aaron We're involved in everything. James was involved with almost everything. There was like one day he was like worked a double or something, and we did a bunch of shit that day too. And then the last day we all went in on like this Diuli song, which is Aaron and I's like other kind of like metal project, and James got down on that song too because he's been playing bass with us live. We've done 2 live shows now. He played bass, and James is a killer vocalist too. He's an underrated vocalist, so we had him do vocals on the track and shit.
The boy can do it all.
Dude, he sounds awesome, and he just gets it. He's like channels his inspirations really well.
I personally love him on the bass. Like he's
a
good.
Me too, bro. Me too.
I don't know. He fits the bassist profile, and this sounds insulting, but I swear it's not. Like he has
not
the
to him. He
vibe.
Loves it.
He loves it, dude. And like playing like the tour I did with him. You know, he was playing bass live. And he's got it, man. Like he knows how to move. He's like super into it. I don't know.
He really gets the role.
Yeah.
And like he plays those Music Man basses, and the way he like those Music Man basses are just beautiful instruments when it comes to bass. And he just has them like I think he's playing Schecter now, so I think he's getting a Schecter bass. And Aaron and I have a couple Schecter basses. Yeah. So but he's been a Music Man guy for I don't know when, since we've known him. And Aaron and I have a couple Schecter basses, and I really like the way they sound. I've been using them quite a bit. And we have an Ibanez bass and 2 Schecter basses, and I kind of, they're all cool. They all sound good on stuff, and they all sound different, but I kind of like the Schecters more than the Ibanez right now. I don't know why. I don't understand bass enough to get it. But with the James's Music Man specifically, he's got like the dark glass preamps in him, and just like when he's tracking it too, he like, you know, he's kind of taught us a good amount about it. But like he'll just dial in like the pickups a certain way for certain riffs, and he doesn't like the overly clangy tones. He likes like the really just big, beefy stuff, and that's why he's a great bassist too. Is he really understands the role of like just providing that power.
A guitar player, which, you know, in the tech death world is another. It's kind of the polar opposite. So it's almost being a third or fourth guitar.
Yeah, and he is a guitar player, which is funny because you think he would play it more like guitar, but he really gets the role. And yeah, he's really opened Aaron and I's eyes to bass guitars. I mean, there's some newer Diuli songs where I have got programmed bass on it just because, however it's in there, it just sounds great. But like there's like 2 examples of that. Everything else, like I'm not touching MIDI bass probably ever again. Like I was big into it forever, and then now I'm like, the last thing I want to do is like sit there and like program what I played on guitar anymore, especially if it's like a slam. I'm like, give me that bass.
I mean, it's not like you can't play it anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you didn't play an instrument, it'd be different, but I mean, come on.
Yeah. Or you didn't have a bass, you know what I mean? Then programming bass is a good thing, but man,
but even then, like I get you do a lot of music, but even then, like for someone else's scenario, like just fucking find a homie that has a bass, like fuck it, you know, like anything but, you know.
Totally. Kurt from Four Stroke Baron's a good bass player too, and when we were doing our sessions, he brought his bass down and we'd track bass on the songs we wrote. But there's one song we did where it switches, and then there's like this really robotic sounding, like, you know, staccato type patterns, and we programmed the bass for that. It just sounded better with the programmed bass. So it has its role, but like, man, like I'll write these songs lately, and like I'll keep it very simple on the guitars on purpose. Like they have a lot of soul and character to it, but I'm not really jazzing anything up. I'm not really focusing on fills or trying to make it like it has its one role, and it does it really well. And then the way I feel like it gets a lot more life to it is the bass, because you can come in and like a subtle shift in bass really makes the whole riff, if it's simple, it adds a lot of dynamics to it without really doing too much.
It's like an inherent kind of wobble to bass, you know, that just like, even if it were to be like quote unquote on the grid, like it's still, I feel like there's a bit more movement in between than like a tight guitar.
Totally. And like on Soundscapes of Death, Radical Richard and Dip Down use the programmed bass, which is interesting in the context of this conversation. And those are like really robotics type songs.
Yeah, but then you go into the electronic stuff, and then, you know, I guess there's a parallel to be made there, right? Like at what point, like what parts cater to like the electronic elements to it, and which versus the organic, right? It's kind of blurry there, right? Because you got both.
And again, it's just a part of the process. Like if you're working with the electronic bass and you take it to where it needs to go, not the bass but the song, and that's just like a part of the song now, you know. Like there was a newer Dealey song that I wrote with programmed bass at first, and when it was totally done, the only thing that was bugging me about it was the programmed bass. So we tracked it, song's finished now. But like again, like earlier in the conversation, I was talking about Shadow of Death, and I wanted to go in there and like really tune up the drums and add some spice to like some fills and stuff. And after a while, I just like couldn't hear it anymore. I just couldn't hear the song being done. It's kind of the same thing. If the song sounds done, if the energy's there, I don't. Who cares? There's no need to replace something for the overthinking novelty. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah. I don't know. I can't remember where we're going with that. I think that wraps up the LA trip, and it basically just ends with bass is sick.
So, just a quick second to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, Indie Merch Store. If you missed out on the latest Cattle Decapitation headliner tour, now is the time to stock up on some sick gear. The band just put up a variety of tees, including their Death Atlas crystal tie-dye pullover, the instant classic Bring Back the Plague 2028 tee, and more. Check it all out over at indiemerchstore.com. Worm Shepherd are back with their brand new record, Dawn of the Iconoclast, coming February 20th via Unique Leader Records. Pre-orders are live over at indiemerchstore.com and include album-themed tees and wall flags alongside CDs and vinyl. As always, you can use code BRUTALITY at checkout to save 10% off of your entire order. Again, that is code BRUTALITY at checkout for 10% off. As always, a massive shout out to Indie Merch Store for supporting the show. And now, back to the episode. I'd love to have a bit of a conversation with you about AI in art and
AI
music.
is so interesting, man.
I'm sure you have words to say about it, and you think about these things a lot. So I'm sure there's maybe a nuanced conversation we can have about this. I'm curious what you think when it comes, because it's so contrary to what you do and the way I think the reasons why you make music. Like I don't really see a world, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see a world where you would be using AI to be making music. But I also can imagine like an alternate universe where someone like you would be obsessed with AI and would make like the wackiest shit, and it's super psych, you know, but would like use it for like that same kind of purpose as what you make music for. Like, so I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts on AI and music.
Well, it's like, AI in general is like, I'm really into it, fascinated by it and all that. And, you know, obviously been watching it. When we did our first podcast here, it was like, you know, Will Smith eating spaghetti was a joke. And now it's like Will Smith eating spaghetti is like cinema. You know what I mean?
Cinema.
So there's so many elements of it. And I mean, the part I use the most is really like the assistant ability in like the language models. Like instead of overthinking, and I need to call someone to talk something through, like something I'll get a perspective on will be like Gemini or ChatGPT, right? Or if you're writing like professional emails, like if I'm talking to like distributors and I just sound like how I sound, and I'm just like, this is what I know everything that needs to be done. I'll write like my email and it sounds like I'm talking to them, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. They don't know me. So like I'll have like,
Well, joke's on you. You're probably talking to a bot. So
oh yeah. That's the other thing too. It's like this the bot I'm talking to will respond better to this bot that I'm going to use to craft my words. But like when it comes to AI and music, it's interesting because I feel like there's already so many. I don't like. I think what you're talking about and the big topic in AI and music would be like generative AI, right? Not like AI tools, because there's like
not like clone stamping in Photoshop.
We've been having tools
exactly
for a long time.
So there's
like
yeah,
AI,
totally.
like AI mastering is like I think like a separate. Like it's not the same thing, right? Like I think like stuff like Suno and like stuff like that where it's like
exactly
you're like
Suno's the thing that's like what's your thoughts on that? And I mean, I like back to your thing, like I don't see you using AI for what you do, and like I agree, because like my whole like kind of motto is like I would do exactly what I'm doing now, like videos, music, photo, if literally no one was looking at it. You know, like if I posted everything I've ever done all the time at the rate I post it, and everything had one like from my mom or something, I would still be doing the same shit, you know, just because I love it, you know. And I've actually tried to get out of music. I might have talked about this on the podcast, but I've tried to distance myself from music like multiple times in my life so far. And this last time I was like, you know what? You're old enough to recognize that A, you like metal, quit rejecting it. And B, you like making music and you're good at it. Like quit selling all your shit and trying to not do it when you know you love it. So that was like the two things that I've kind of come around to in the last 3 years, or maybe it's 3 years ago or something like that. But during this reboot phase or whatever. So it's like that's the gist there. And it's creatively I'm interested in it. Like I'm kind of like, you know, what if you, I don't know, make like a cool sound or something. I don't really understand it, how it works or anything. I've never played with it, but like I feel so creatively maxed out and fulfilled with just how I do things right now that it just doesn't even like cross my mind of like to try to prompt something to get what I'm like trying to make. Like I've just been there's so many good tools. Like finding samples is a billion times easier than it was, you know, 15 years ago. Like 15 years ago, you literally had to like just have a hard drive with like tons and tons and tons of samples that you organize. And this might, you know, I'm sure metal people have this thing as well, but this was coming from when I was making EDM and experimental stuff and rap music and remixes. Like I had so many sample packs, and not just sample packs that I go online and buy, but I would make my own. My friends would make their own. We would all share each other's sample packs. There's like a whole underground, there still is, of people who make like very exclusive sample packs that they just send to their buddies, and sample packs and loops too. You know, like there's a whole underground of that stuff that's not like tied to something you can go buy online or whatever. But like there's so many tools out there that allow you to organize or find samples based off like similarity or vibe or genre, that like, and they're all connected too. So it's like whenever I'm like reaching for anything, I'm always like, how can I not think about something and just do it quickly, you know? And so I just feel like way fulfilled in like every sense of my creative process to use tools to be expressive with, beyond me doing everything like hyper manual, if you want to call it hyper manual, right? Like where like an EDM, for example, a lot of people will make every sound you hear from like sine waves or white noise. And it's a big thing now, and it was a big thing like 15 years ago when I was deep into like EDM production, of like making everything from scratch. And it was like, yeah, you get there's a creative process once you go into like sound designing, and that most producers will have like a specific sound designing session. And I was kind of the guy who I would do that, and then I'd make a cool sound and I would make a song, and I'd be like, damn, I was supposed to make like 20 sounds. I made 2 and then made a song. But then I sometimes I retroactively go through my projects and sample my projects. Like if I made cool things, I would sample it. If I made like a cool vocal chop, I would sample it. I did that a lot when I did remixes, like back in early in my career when I was like remixing like Blast the Fall, Architects, Asking Alexandria, and Suicide Silence. I would go and sample my sessions, and I had a giant folder of like all these samples from my remixes from these metal bands, and I would use them in my own productions constantly. You know, snare drums. They were like the No Time to Bleed Suicide Silence snare drum. I had a sample of that I used all the time in my electronic music productions, and it was funny too. It was the sample I made was a horrible sample. It had because that snare drum in that record is brilliant, you know. But the sample I had was snare drum, and then I faded out afterwards. I didn't find a part in the song where I found like a standalone snare drum. Yeah, it's like if you listen to it, the sample itself, it's like crash, snare, and then the kick goes and just gets faded out. So, but that was the sample. I still have it. It's called SS Snare. And I mean, yeah, I don't think I still use it, but like it's still in there as like a whatever. But I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But basically, like I don't think that much about it because I don't really like feel like I have a need to use generative AI. It's like, do I consult like music theory stuff all the time? You know, like circle of fifths and DJing is like how we would mix DJing is you'd mix in key, and you're not like looking at like, oh, I'm in F sharp, like what harmonically will mix with F sharp. There's like a thing, it's called alphanumeric. Basically every key in scale is assigned a number and a letter, A or B. And if you can mix, like if you're an AA, like 8B will sound good, and 7A will sound good, and 9A will sound good. So, and then you can analyze all your tracks to tell you what the keys are all in. So when you're mixing in key, you're kind of hanging out in those things.
And
yeah. And like, you know, am I a robot about it? Am I like a purist about it? Absolutely not. Would I make mixes that I would not consult alphanumeric stuff? Constantly. But let me tell you, once you find the right mix and you get your whole mix or whatever, oftentimes later on, I would put that in like record box and it would analyze into alphanumeric, and it was somewhat mixing in keys. Just because it naturally feels better, right? Yeah. If it was out of key, you wouldn't choose that as your you wouldn't choose that as your mix. So it's like on that note, it's like, do I consult like music theory with computers? All the time. And like now I'll use like ChatGPT to do it too. Like I'll be playing like, let's say I'm playing like a chord progression, and I'm like, what scale am I playing in right now? Because like you always think like the root note or whatever you started with is the scale, and sometimes I don't think that. So I'll usually like just like I'll turn my tuner on and I'll like hit every note in the chord I'm playing, and I'll like feed it to, because I'll like make up really weird chords sometimes. Just like I'll use weird tunings too. I mean, my standard guitar I'll play in drop B flat, which is my absolute favorite right now. And then like my baritone, I don't even really understand what the tuning is. I have to literally look up the tuning every time I want to like, tune it or change it, you know?
Yeah.
And with that, I'll like, you know, all your practicing of playing traditional chords, like you put the Chordify up in front of me, and like it's like I can play along to songs no problem, like strumming acoustically, right? I know all the chords and stuff. So it's not like I'll make up weird chords. I'm like, I don't know what this is. You know, I know it's some A minor seventh, whatever type stuff. I never got that into it where I could speak that type of lingo. So I'll use like, instead of using like Google back in the day or Reddit or whatever, or like I had that old book, you know, that black book with like the circle on it. I had that, you know, I consulted that a lot. And it's the same thing with like chat. I'll like, you know, I'll put these notes in, and I'll just have like a little dialogue with like, it's like, oh, I could be this or this. And I'll be like, all right, like, I guess that helps kind of stuff. But I'll do that a lot. And that's just like to me, it's nothing new. It's just like it's a new
Oh, it's just a new way
thing.
of doing the same thing. Yeah.
So I'll consult Chat GPT when I'm doing like music theory type stuff. Am I saying like, hey, I'm out of ideas, chat. Like, give me a chord progression. Like, I've never done that before. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like probably a letdown in terms of like how I feel about it or whatever. But that's just my personal thing. It's like, is it interesting to me? Definitely. I think it. I don't know where it'll. I mean, it's definitely going to be going somewhere. Like, that it's going to keep evolving. Like, there was a while ago too. There was like this and I've made observations on it. There's two cases. One, there was like this metal song that was really popular on TikTok, and it was like very generic metalcore. It was very catchy. It was like I'm not even gonna try to sing it.
Yeah, I've seen.
What I'm talking about, and like everyone was like loving it, and people were like making like videos to it and stuff. And then the comments are all like, it's AI, and then you have your people who are like, well, I don't care, I like it, and it's like, okay, I guess whatever. But then there was another example, it just sounds the way it sounds, and maybe it's similar to like how like a vinyl record being sampled is different than if you were to like. Yeah, because like groups have done this. Like I think Pretty Lights was big into this. I don't know if you guys know that name. It's a Denver-based beat project. I don't really know what to put it as, but like he got to start sampling vinyl, and then he blew up. And then as you know, when you blow up and you're sampling, like you're gonna have to, and you get like higher stakes of publishing and labels and stuff. You got to deal with what you're sampling, and his way of going about it was, I'm just going to make my own like vinyl records or whatever. Like I'm going to make my own compositions and then sample those. And that's valid too. But again, the apples to oranges thing is like what vibe is giving the energy that he's going for, and that's more archaic. But I guess example with that is it sounded very distinctly AI, you know what I mean? So it had a sound that I don't think a person could do, but it's like, are people gonna fucking like that? Like beyond just like, I like this song from my TikTok video as I like, drive to work. I don't know. I don't think so. But the more recent case that I thought was really interesting was there was this Big House song that was going viral on TikTok and whatever. And the main vocal was an AI vocal. And the producers were legit, but they used an AI vocal, like one of those generators where you put the notes in and then you put the words in, and it just like cranks it out for you. And that's the song that blew up. And then everyone who loved the song wanted to know who was singing it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like, oh, it's AI, that's lame. But they're kind of like, oh, dang. Like I thought I was a fan of someone and I'm not. You know what I mean? I think they got someone who they modeled it after. The song got so big, whoever like the AI was modeled after, I think actually sang it. And it has a different vibe. I don't think it's just, I don't have an opinion on what was better. I just was kind of observing it. But I did think that was like interesting, of like, as soon as people found out it wasn't a real thing, like the lore of it weakened. And like your ability to like emotionally connect with it kind of weakened. And I think that's an interesting point about it, is I think, that's just like that's going to be, I think, the walls that generative AI in terms of art is going to run into, of like,
do you think
people are going to connect with it less. And I think probably, and again, like
the musician's take though, like I feel like there might be a world where, coworker music is just that, and they don't really care about the people in the band, and whatever you're listening to on the radio, you don't know even the name of the artist, but the chorus,
exactly.
There's like a lot of cases where like the mass music is not necessarily like it doesn't need to be relatable, I guess, in a sense.
Totally. And like, it's like we're talking about before with like video games and Blockbuster and stuff, and like our era was better than this era. Like, are we gonna what generation is being born right now? Is it still alpha or is it beta?
I don't know.
I don't know,
even
but
know.
like
I've lost
you know,
track.
we're
There's been
at,
too
it
many
was like
generations
A,
since.
it was D, and then it went to A, and I think now we're at B. But like, what if when we get to like generation F or whatever, like what if it's just like totally matrixed out and everything's fake?
Mhm.
It's like goes back to I have no idea what to tell them, but I'm sure as hell like
I think
like
real
you're
music is
saying,
always going to rise to the top. I
hell
think,
yeah.
I have like a firm belief of that, but it's just, I don't know. There's just going to be, I just fear there's going to be so much noise. Like, because people right now complain about the fact that it's, you know, there's already so much noise without AI just because of how accessible music is, right?
Yeah. Well, it's
Like
not even just
Ian talks about
music.
this a lot, like the dead internet theory and this sort of
Yeah.
stuff. Like, there's like a point where
Totally.
there's just like we're gonna be fucking flooded with bullshit, man. You know?
Yeah, and it's like oversaturation of music. I think about that a lot because it's it's oversaturated. But it's like it's not just music. It's like where you go to consume or find music is like a musician trying to get seen is competing with um anything and everything right now. Like
Yeah.
corporate sponsorships, commercials, funny things, the news. It's like imagine like the same vessel, like you know, let's pick an era where like maybe you discovered music by going to the CD store and you were browsing through CDs and you're in the metal section or whatever. It's like imagine if you're there and like the stuff you have to flip through is like comic books, news articles,
Yeah.
like what's all this shit
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
trying to get to, like you know, some new car that came out, like any, and then also not just like random like that, but maybe it's like zapped to whatever you could possibly be interested in, right? You know, across the whole spectrum of everything in life, right? So that I think that's why a lot of oversaturation feels that way. It's not just there's more music you're competing with, it's like you're competing with literally all of your interest that an algorithm is trying to figure out, and everyone around you is going through the same experience, and that's why things I think feel pretty oversaturated, you know, and you can get lost in that, you know what I mean? That's like the whole like touch grass kind of thing. It's like you're lost. Like go to the park, sit down and read a book, like come back down and chill, you know. So it's like
the Matrix.
exactly. So it's like I don't know, you know, and if I think about it too much, it's just like a psychedelic experience, right? It's like where do you you know, like there's things that are interesting, there's like interesting conversations to have, but it's like my time or my attention I should say in these regards comes back down to like holy shit, you better like make a lot of music right now, you know what I mean? You better just make the most of whatever time we have right now, you know. And that's like and that's another like the, you know, deeper aspect of it. It's like we're all alive right now and this is our only life, and it's right now at this point in time. So it's like how do you want to spend that experience that is so like special and unique to have like your life, right? And how do you want to spend it, you know? You could spend, yeah, I don't want to say like to be all worry free and not have a care or a lick for anything going on. I don't know if that's the best, but I also don't think trying to know everything is the best either. I think at a certain point, and maybe it's a phase thing, you know, maybe every once in a while you dip in and you like you pay too much attention to or think too much about like, you know, the world or whatever, and then maybe you do your phase where like I don't care about anything, I'm just gonna like totally unplug and just like go outside and water my
I've been
gardens.
stuck in that phase for a minute, but
yeah, but like you know what I mean, it's just like at the end of the day it's like God, just try to have the best life you can, really. And you know, it's easy to get emotional about like if you're like learning your craft and you're a hyper creative person and like this is what you like doing and you'd like, you know, some recognition or some success in it, and you're now trying to put your stuff on Spotify, and there's a billion AI things out there that Spotify is probably funding that are, you know, it's like does that piss you off? Yeah, probably, for sure. But it's like I don't know, fuck, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's a good thing to have public discourse over, and that's the thing too, because like does the discourse matter? Maybe. Like, are these like entities so powerful, like Spotify and their ability to fund this stuff or allow it on the platforms? Like, do they care what the public discourse is?
Yeah, I don't.
Probably only if everyone bailed ship on Spotify, but
Yeah.
almost like I don't know if people will do
But I don't
that.
see a world. I don't really see a world where that happens, right? Which is why it's kind of fucked up. Like and it feels kind of doomsday-esque because you just know that like the fuck are the three of us talking about this gonna change in fucking Spotify's plans,
Well,
Yeah.
depends on where you stand with that. Like I'm a big, dreamer and thinking like I think we do evolve through discussions and stuff like that. And even if society or there's no big things happening, I think it's still useful to talk and change perceptions and stuff like that. And sure,
Oh
it's coming
yeah.
from two guys talking about deathcore most of the time. But in general,
Valid.
just having these kinds of discussion and personally, I find myself often in a state of gratefulness, even though AI, I mean, we've seen it in the movie, it's going to end badly. Like, we know that, and it's okay.
Dude,
no, but it's like,
so funny.
Accept our fate.
There's just no way it's ending up well, and it's fine. And I'm okay with that. But what I've learned to like when I've come to realize is I'm in this like state of gratefulness for just a timeline, and I'm talking about like us three, our generation, the timeline that we had. Like, we are extremely fortunate because like we grew up in a world where we had like barely like we had technology, but it kind of sucked enough so that you can like go outside and experience the world. Like, it's not like Nintendo, just for context, people, Nintendo 64 didn't keep you from going outside. Like, it was cool, I would play it.
Thanks for
but,
clarifying
like,
that.
I wasn't like, as much as I loved my Nintendo 64, it wasn't a question as a kid. It was just like, we're going outside, like, who cares, like, until it's dark. So we got to experience the world. What I think also people were maybe a bit more trusting. You could go outside, at least for my parents. I was a small city. It was just like, come back before it's like, dark. It was, and I was just like, I'm sleeping in that place. So we got to experience that. Then we got to experience like technology like evolving fast. Like, we went from the biggest TVs in the world, it was basically a home, you could live in a TV, and then like to see what the internet and MySpace, the first website, and now we're here. And with AI you can create, and as much as I despise it for a lot of different reasons, at the same time I cannot help but to be grateful to get to experiment that, to see like the evolution of that. It is an interesting timeline, and I think the only problem I have is like AI could take over a lot of boring stuff, like counting numbers or algorithms and stuff, like, no problem. But
Figuring out chords.
art, to me, like, it's yeah, it's the moment, I think, and I think that's the main problem for a lot of people. I think it's the moment it steps in art, pretending that it's like it's valid as an art form. Like, you talked about it as a tool, no problem with that. You're using it as a tool. We've been using, a lot of people are using AI without even realizing that it's AI. Just for context, you're using Photoshops and like different stuff. My friend, you're using like some sort of AI to do like different things. If you're not making it up yourself, there was AI in freaking video games and stuff. So it's a different time to different kind of AI. But what I'm saying is, unfortunately, I don't think we can stop any of that. Like, this is going to happen. It's human nature. Try to evolve, quote unquote. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it is. And advancement. So the way I see it is, no matter what happened, it's going to be interesting to see. No matter what it is, it's going to be interesting.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, go get in some kind of conversation with anyone anywhere, and eventually there's a good chance it'll be like wild times.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I was talking to a guy last night. I was at a buddy's birthday party. I was talking to his stepdad, and he was like, I'm 60 years old, and let me tell you, this is the weirdest times I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, there's definitely some validation to that for sure. It's very bizarre.
I think we're going to see the end also of a lot of things. Like, think about it just for 1 second. Who from our generation watch the news in a TV? Like who, like seriously, like open up the TV and like, oh, what's the program tonight? What am I watching? Like seriously, I'm not saying no one, but I'm kind of saying no one.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's very rare. So I think we're going to see a little bit like almost the end of the magazines and stuff like that. I think we're going to witness a lot of things like that just kind of they're going to be gone. Like who's watching TV? Everybody that I know, literally anyone that I know, like I've never heard once somebody my age being like, hey, do you watch the news this morning? And this happened. I've never
I'm trying
heard
not
that.
to
Like I don't
drop more McDonald jokes again.
I mean
but you're totally right. No one watches TV anymore.
Kind of gone. Like it's a different thing. But at the same time, this other part of me is like, well, the dead internet theory, it's gonna bring back to the roots. Like when AI is gonna take over, like I don't know, like music and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
they can take over
right?
a lot of things, but they cannot take over a show.
No way.
You can only do it like that. So we might witness a return to like I'm exaggerating by saying that, but like close to like the 70s, 80s, like events and stuff, because people are gonna get tired of everything being AI. You see it already, right? You open up a comment section, people are like, "Is this AI? Is this real?" Like we're seeing already a bit of
That's
that.
what I hate people. I'm saying that about everything now, AI or not.
Yeah, and it
some
sucks.
of my
Let's be
recent
honest.
music I put out, I'm like, man, I haven't seen. I mean, I don't like go looking that much, but like, I'm like, my music kind of sounds like, it almost sounds futuristic in the sense where it almost sounds like something. I don't want to say AI made, but like it almost like it's combo of so many weird things. It's just like almost has that weird smear that like I guess the AI kind of can give off sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
different though. It's different. I see it as cool. Not to cut you off, but like you're saying, like it gives that vibe. I see it differently. I see it more as you remember like the aesthetic, and I've been I was talking about it off stream, but like the PS2 when they imagined the future, but then it turned out that it wasn't that. You remember like all the technology.
Dude, I love that whole
it's one of my
thing
favorite
right now. Like there's this video I saw where this guy was talking about like why is every picture from the 2000s like depicting this very futuristic scene, and everything's like blue and there's a lot of blue and cyans and stuff. Dude, so sick.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
I want to know how to do it, you know, because I'm like getting into photography and stuff, and I'm like, how would I take a picture like that?
Has to be a way. Do you know some like there has to be a way to like recreate that sort of
part of that too was just what they're taking pictures of.
I just bought like a shitty 20-year-old point and shoot camera.
Might help.
Dude, which one'd you get?
SD 1000. A little Canon.
Hell
like
yeah.
2007 thing. Keep the flash on at all times. Fucking
all times.
All manual.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got a dope point and shoot.
No matter what.
Like fuck it.
No matter what. No, but guys, let's be honest here. Let's take a moment. We've been the future we were promised in terms of like what the future would
what
be.
We were promised.
We've been, it's a massive, like as much as I love things, in terms of aesthetic, it's a massive letdown. I mean, everything is brown, gray, and boring. Like we were promised like weird buildings and round shapes and like headphones and weird things. And I wanted that, to be honest. Like it's
Matrix waves, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The glasses, like, what the hell is that? But at the same time, I like it. Like, it goes hard for some reason. Like, what you were just talking, I know we're talking about the same thing, like the bluish, like chrome aesthetic. It was
1,000%.
so awesome. Like, where is that? Who's in charge of like take that? I'll take that instead. Like, bring like that. I would
We're
be on
in charge. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean, come on. That was so sick. I've been obsessed, though. I don't know if I'm pretty sure you guys might, you're going to relate to that. But like when you find something like that and then you're obsessed and then you only watch stuff about that kind of things, like that's me with that kind of aesthetic. Dumb knows, like I made like a YouTube thumbnail for no reason that I knew I wouldn't use at all. I just made it because I wanted to play with that aesthetic. It's never gonna been used, and it's just because I was obsessed with it. But it's very interesting. I'm saying PS2, by the way, because I think it was a big part of, if you go back to like the ads they were making and the vision they had for like the future, it was weird and creepy, by the way, but they kind of, like they had that
old video
sort
game ads are fucking awesome, dude.
Oh my
So good.
we
god,
lost our way. We lost the plot
Dude.
somewhere along the line.
Where
dude.
is that?
Dude,
Like,
one
you know
thing
what
I-
we
like-
get now? We see we see like some sort of landscape for like 3 seconds. That's the ad that we have now.
Oh,
Elder
yeah.
Scroll.
I'm a big David Lynch fan, and he did a PS2 commercial, I think.
Okay.
And it's badass. But like when we were talking about this and stuff, one of the things I thought about was like, man, like there's so many great minds that I wish could comment on these things too.
Yes.
Like I wish I could hear like what David Lynch has to say about things as things continue. Like there's just certain opinions from people that are no longer here that I'm like mad curious to.
With different sorts of visions and
Yeah.
understandings that would, to be fair, probably those people are honestly changing the world. So like having it's even a weird thing to me that we don't, it's going to be like a big thing, but like as humans, like we don't use those people enough to make the changes. Like imagine like sitting like these people changing the world together in a freaking room and like making, that would be awesome. I think it would lead to, or it would be the end. I don't know what would happen, but it would be interesting to see, you know, like I don't know why my brain went to like Steve Jobs, but like these people who changes things with visions.
It's another guy I miss.
So that they think different. They're just like the expression "built differently" works perfectly for these people. Like they're just, they have something. So like those people are the ones you want to hear. Like no diss to like politics and stuff like that, but those are the people I want to hear talking about
100%.
like future and stuff.
And then some of the stuff too, it's like you kind of have to wait and see how things develop. You know what I mean? Like you have to be kind of prudent on what, because I remember like I remember when I first saw Suno, I was like, oh, it's over. Like we're cooked. This is done. And I was actually like, for like 2 days, I remember being very depressed about it. Like I was like, it's over. And then now I think it looks like shit and no one uses it anymore. You know what I mean? But it's like,
Yeah.
you know, again, I was like very stung at first, but over time I was like, I don't know. I'm like, who cares? But I don't, and I got an interesting way to comment on it, but also maybe a pivot to something I want your guys' opinion on. And it's like, I don't think it's very creative. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the reasons I haven't gotten into it, is because like I don't know, I think I'm more creative than it, and I think it's just gonna spit out stuff that's like, okay, like that was a waste of time. You know what I mean? Or whatever.
I have a way to explaining it. You know, like it's basically like my English. It can be kind of good, but it's always a bit off. Like that's how I see it personally. You know what I mean? It could have been great. We understand what it's trying to be, but it's just kind of weird and it doesn't work. That's me speaking English usually.
I think
it's
it
like,
works
oh, we
fine.
get what you're talking, but it's just
doesn't work.
It was always like I'm almost there. Like it's like I'm making a sentence and I'm proud, and the worst part is I have a script and I'm like, and then you listen to it and it's like, nobody's saying that, but I guess
Dude,
you could maybe
I got some
say it
news
like
for
that.
you. Is like, as a native English speaker, and I only speak English, I still have a hard time communicating. You know what I
feel
mean?
better. I
But
feel
I
a bit
still
better.
struggle with English all the time. You're probably more, your ability to express is probably better in the sense where you have 2 different languages to literally put into context thoughts you're having. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you have thoughts that you don't always put in French. Maybe it makes more sense to put it together in your head in English. So you have you have a leg on that. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like, as a native English speaker, I'm like, it's hard. I don't know. It takes time to be able to express what you mean sometimes, and to be able to express what you mean, especially if it's complicated or sensitive or not easy, it's you might have to like fall down a couple times trying to say it in order to be like, oh, the last thing I said is what I actually mean. You know what I mean?
Three dudes talking about AI on a podcast.
Yeah, we got to ramble for like 20 minutes to figure out what the hell we're even saying. You know what I mean? It's just the truth of language. It's, you know, it's hard.
I invent words. I'm a step like I'm literally inventing words. So that's
but you're a trendsetter. That's the other thing, right? So
I just need to be more confident about it. I just need to own up. Like when people ask, I just need to be like, yeah, that's my word. That's what I'm using. I just need to own up instead of being like,
you gotta gaslight people into thinking that they actually are
real.
Words, that it's real.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's a word. And then I need to like make sure that other people are saying it so that they hear more and more, and then they're like, shit, I was actually wrong.
Yeah. So they're like, how do I get to over here? You're like, oh, just go up the corny old stay pod. And they're like, what? I get just go over there around the corny old stay pod. And
you have to be a bit upset when you don't understand.
Unironically though, like shit like that is the shit that makes me laugh the most. Random sayings that don't make sense or made up shit. Like I don't know, man. There's something about it. With the old band, we had a million of those, and I don't know. Those would be like recurring jokes for fucking ever. We'd repeat those same sayings forever, and would literally get back from tour, like no joke, would get back from tour and would have a moment where I would have to adjust back into talking normally without using those made up words. Like we would flip. I've talked about this before. I have a feeling it could have came up on a podcast with you, but we had this thing where we would flip like syllables in a word. And so instead of like officer, I'd say ossifer. And like it's just like flipping two letters, but we would stick to certain words like that and like say them for a month and a half straight the wrong way, and then getting back home from tour, completely fucked. Like, what is the real way to say it anymore? I don't know. It's like, and it took a few weeks to rewire properly. And
man, if you went like started a country on some little island or something somewhere, and you populated it enough to where it got enough like global recognition, you just would be a dialect.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely how dialects are formed in some way. Maybe they're being funny and then it just sticks. I don't know, probably. And like, I think with just on top of like learning a different language, and Jan, you could probably attest to this, but my hardest time learning languages was I just lacked the ability to be funny. And so when I was in casual conversations, I just feel like I had a really hard time relating to people because I couldn't crack. Like, jokes would be flying in, and I'd be like, I have no idea what to say. So I think as soon as you can be funny in a different language, it's like, I figured this out or whatever.
I had a conversation with my friend the other day. Like he's watching, like he understands English. He's mostly speaking French. And he told me, he's like, it's funny because I watch your videos and it's you, but you have like your English personality. It's like, it's you, but I do... It's like it's still kind of different though. It's you. And I know you mean like you mean what you're saying, but it's like another version almost. And I can understand because I'm starting to realize that even some sort of jokes and humor don't necessarily translate. Like sometimes it's like it's in English. There's no really so that part of me is only in English, if that makes sense. Super weird to explain, but that's how I feel about it sometimes. And it took me a long time making jokes about it. I think now I have like I'm way more comfortable. It's like, it was a mess. Like in my first videos, it's like, if I could delete it, I would.
With our first conversations with our man over here.
Oh God, yeah, it was probably terrible, but like now, I mean, from my side, but now it's like, I'm starting to be, as I'm getting more comfortable, I'm starting to realize that it's when you speak other language, it's like you have different parts of you are only in that setting. They're not in your regular. So that's kind
Oh,
of weird.
totally. Yeah, yeah, definitely weird. I feel like that when you travel too, like you'll just and a good example is just around different groups of people. Like I like to be around people who I like myself around because I will adapt to being around different people and whatnot. And the people I like being around is the people who I like the version of myself the most around that. Like if I'm, because the funniest person in the world maybe has a really hard time being funny with certain people or like getting that thing going. So it's you know, you could be really funny, but maybe you're just not funny around certain people or whatever. And
I think that's the beauty of it,
and
though.
that's
Like
based on location and language and all these different types of things. So that's a whole thing. Yeah, I mean, when I was in Russia, the drummer of Abominable Trinity spoke the least amount of English, and him and I were laughed the most. We were constantly making jokes, and we couldn't even speak a lick of each other's languages. And I experienced that in Japan too.
Funny faces all the time.
I don't know what we were doing, but we're on the same wave, you know, and we're just like, you know, we just got it. We're just laughing and making jokes constantly. We never spoke anything related to each other. Same thing happened in Japan. I remember being like this one green room and just like really joking with these guys. And then you get to a certain point in like the jokes where like everyone just stops and freezes and we're like
that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we don't know what to say. But you know, that's a whole thing. But Jan, to boost your confidence, I would never. I don't think the only thing I thought about your accent at first was where is this guy from, and then I was like, oh, he's French Canadian, duh. You know what I mean? But at first I was like, what accent is this? But not for a moment I was like, this guy could really speak English. So I thought you've been great this whole time. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm big. Yeah. I'm also. I think
you should be very proud of yourself. You're killing it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a lot of people were actually surprised. People that I know from here that are only speaking French, watching my stuff, were just like, you like, are you English now or something? Like they saw like my video popping up. I was just like, well, that's kind of what I'm doing now. But thank you. I do appreciate that because it was, I won't lie to you. Like when I started my channel, it was intimidating. It's like it wasn't like it was just like, I'm bad, but I'm going to do it. Like that was, my vision was, that's the only way I'm going to get better is by doing it. If I wait and wait, like I'm just going to do it. So, and I knew for a fact that later on, I would watch this and I would be like, what is that? I knew it for a fact. I see myself like sometimes that happens. There's a notification, click by accident. I'm watching a bit of myself back then and I'm like, dear Lord. But at first it was cringing me and it still does. But now I'm like, oh shit, it's a good thing because I'm like, my God, I was kind of shy. It wasn't just like a language thing. I was more kind of shy, monotone. Like I was just like, what am I doing? Like people are watching that. Like you're watching that. Like Wikipedia is maybe more entertaining than that. Like what is that?
Oh yeah, that's true with everything. I cringe at old shit all the time. You know, and like what you had a good nugget in there where you're like, I'm gonna speak English. It's probably not gonna be very good, but screw it. I'm gonna do it because I want to do this and I want to build. That's how you do anything. There's a good phrase I like that's like anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly. And it's just the fact of the matter. You're never going to be like badass at something immediately and you're going to have to eat shit at it because it's worth doing well at some point, right?
So certain like, things you can eat shit privately though, you know, whereas something like that, you're like eating shit publicly, which kind of ups the stakes, quote unquote, a little bit.
Totally. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just like, again, back to living your life. You're just going to like, I'm just going to, back out of something I want to do in fear because I'm going to eat shit for a while, you know? Well, I felt that way when I got kind of rebooted Disfiguring. I was like, all right, I'm going to go out there and eat shit for a while. And people are probably going to be kind of disappointed that like I'm not delivering, the 2.0 of what they in their trajectory, their mental trajectory of where it should go. I'm like, that's not the reality. I got to go out there and I got to do it publicly. That's
Yeah,
you know,
but isn't
and
it?
it's admirable. Anyone who is like that and actually personally striving for greatness and as personally understands that element of it, when they see someone doing it, they're gonna respect it
Yeah.
immediately.
1000%.
1000%.
And I keep saying that, right? Because I get more and more up, the more views you get, and with the evolution, obviously you're going to attract also some more people hating. I'm pretty lucky on that side. It's not too much. It's basically the black metal community on my socials. That's those are the people who hate me, and I'm okay with it. If I was into black metal, I would hate myself too. Like I do understand. I do understand. I do understand where they're coming from, but
That's awesome.
Completely fine. I mean, like deathcore isn't real metal and stuff like that. Completely fine. I'm okay with that. Completely fine. But what helps me a lot, what always helped me a lot, and I've seen some videos, and it sucks when I see like a good content creator that I like, and I can tell that like sometimes they make a video and they're like, you can tell that they're kind of tired and hurt by all the hate and stuff like that. But for me, it's like I found this cool way, and Dumb knows because I keep sending him stuff. I either just laugh about it or answer to it by going with it. Like they're gonna say like that's the worst video I've ever seen, and I'm like, I know, right? Like I just go with whatever people are writing. They're like, you look super trash, and I'm like, yeah, man, it's terrible. Like it's the worst. Like and people are gonna write something like, who's stupid enough to tattoo their face? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I would never do that in my life. Like those people are terrible. So I just go with anything that they're going with. That way I don't really care, because like it's all coming, I know where it's coming from. The only comments that I leave, they're the corniest, but I just encourage people. I'm not somebody who's doing these things, and whether or not it's because they're hurt. I don't think all these people are hurt, by the way. Like hurt people, sure. I think some people are just bored and they want to provoke and do these kinds of things, and it's fine. But the moment you don't care, I was an emo kid in a football school. Like you're gonna have to go really hard if you want me to be upset. Or I heard everything. I was wearing girls' jeans for the longest time when I was a kid. Like it's gonna take a long time. So with that mindset, it's very difficult to get hurt. I think it's very difficult. So for me, I just see it as, you commented on my video, you cared enough to at least watch it. There's tons of content in the world. You're still on my video. So the only thing I really care about, and Dumb knows that, is not, sometimes I'm terrified since still I'm learning things in English. Just, I don't want it to be perceived sometimes as like a bad intention or whatever in what I'm saying. I don't want to like hurt me personally, but
Totally.
I've come to realize that the chances are pretty low. Like I don't have controversial opinions. I'm just someone who enjoys things and is weird and is excited. So it would be surprising, but he knows, even after years, I'm like, do you think by seeing that? And he's like, dude, man, you're talking about an album, you're fine. It's fine. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, it goes back to that thing. Like, when you're trying to express yourself, you might say things that people could take the wrong way. And you just have to hope that people, and this is easier in like a personal relationship, of course, when you have like this understanding that like communication is, not a black and white thing. And it's certainly not easy, right? So it's like, sometimes you might say something a way that people can take the wrong way. And, if they know you well enough, maybe they just were waiting to understand what you're really trying to say or whatever. But I don't know. I think everyone has those thoughts for sure. And especially with the hater thing, it's like I always looked at haters as like kind of a good thing.
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
If everyone likes something I do, I'm like, damn, it sucks.
Let's be honest. We're all here in the room, right? We're all people who create stuff. The worst thing you want is to be just like just being ignored, like nobody fucking cares about what you do. That's not good. Like, but if you do something that's shocking enough, I think I have a problem when you can tell like it's not even genuine. They just want to shock people for the content. I'm like, it's not really my thing. But when you're being yourself and somehow it triggers people, like people have been mad at me for like the stupidest, like I basically just said maybe, oh, that is less, I prefer that album. And it's like, how dare you saying that?
You
You
had the
don't
wrong
know
opinion, bro.
anything
You burned
about
it.
you should never say that. Like, I'm just like, what? Like, somebody once told me, like, I responded to a comment. This is my favorite one, by the way. I think something to do. Somebody was like, it was about like what got you into heavier music, and I, in my comment, I'm like, first thing with a bit of screaming was Linkin Park. I never said it was extremely heavy. I just said as a kid, as a like 9-year-old, I received a message from someone saying that I had the responsibility to talk about heavy music in a proper way and not mislead people into believing that something like Linkin Park is heavy. I was like,
Well,
what?
I'll go on
A
that boat with you, dude. I think that was my experience too. I think hearing like Linkin Park on the radio, like when that "Shut Up, I'm Talking to You" part, that was like the first thing I was like, dang, I like that
One step
energy.
closer,
Same
right?
here. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll go down on that ship.
Thank
with
you. But but tell me it's not funny. Like you have a responsibility. What? Like what's the worst case scenario here? What's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna like.
We're talking. Look, we're talking about hate comments, and I happened to stumble upon this one on your video, Yan, from 3 days ago.
Oh, I'm really excited now.
It is the funniest comment I have seen in a long ass time, and
I'm
it's
excited.
Okay, so Yan put out a video about the cleansing. It's just a video.
Some of your
talking
videos are featured, by the way, Cam. A little bit of your some of your vlogs, by the way, are in it. Just
Oh yeah,
So it
Sorry,
goes
no.
on this long thing about how Suicide Silence didn't originate deathcore. It was Antagony and Mitch sucks and blah, blah, blah. It's like this long ass thing. But in the middle of all these things that it's just talking about the music itself and the
Yeah.
people involved in the middle. And it's funny because you're wearing the same thing. It says, "Your chain may break your neck."
That's perfect. I love that. I love that. I don't know that guy, but I like that. Thank you, whoever wrote that. Thank you. It might, to be honest. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate you.
Suicide Silence didn't originate deathcore. Mitch lost his voice on stage more than ever. After the cleansing, they leaped into pop and got worse. Everyone dick rides Suicide Silence. Your chain may break your neck. And then he
It's my
keeps going
favorite
on
thing.
about
It's
Suicide
perfect.
Silence.
He couldn't help
He's
himself. He
furious.
basically couldn't wait to say that, so he had to pause on his keyboard or cell phone just to tell me that. I love these people. Like it's the best. And I won't lie to you. Dom knows that. The only time I would kind of snap was because one of my biggest short video I made was about Mitch, right? And since he was my biggest influence and was very important, Dom was just like, dude, it's gonna be your whole life. You cannot answer to all the, because I would answer literally to all the haters saying something. I was like basically just responding things that are all subjective, right? It's all fucking subjective. So we're gonna fight for like ever. You don't have to like vocals and stuff like that. So for like a
He is like this
year,
with the entire revival.
I do that,
The,
yeah.
the younger bands too.
I still do that, though. I still do that.
Yan
I
is
still
kind
do
of
that.
like the proud dad, towards his
Yeah.
children.
Like I cannot like, and the worst part is the bands couldn't give, they don't care. And like I post about a band that I'm happy because I don't do any, people know that I don't do any like paid promotion. Anything I promote is just because I want to promote it and talk about it. And then some people sometimes, of course, they don't like, it's fine, like they don't hate it, but at the moment they're like two haters and they're like they don't have talent and stuff, I'm like, you're gonna listen to me for a moment. Like, and I come from I know it's the wrong perspective, and maybe we can get your opinion on that. Cam, I would be curious. It's a belief that I have that I know is wrong, but I cannot help myself. Is if you attack an artist in a really strong way, like let's say you're saying they don't have talent, you don't have. My brain instantly goes, well, you better have talent to back it up if you're saying that they suck and they're terrible as an artist, which I know not necessarily you can have an opinion, but to me, if you shit, like we're talking like saying the artist has no talent and stuff, my reflex is always like, okay, so what have you done that's so much great? You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's wrong. It's not like the right thing, but I'm curious to know if sometimes maybe your brain goes there, or if, you know, what's your opinion about that? I'm just curious.
Well, I guess it would be like, all right, like, I'm just making what I want to do. How about you just go make what you want to do? Like, you know what I mean?
It's a
Go
better
make your
point
own
even.
video.
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Yeah.
Or just don't
I don't
watch and
know.
listen, right? Like there's just, you know.
Because they're the biggest, like they're gonna follow you, they're gonna comment on your stuff, they're still there, and it's like, well, you hate it, but you're here. I don't see to a show. Like, imagine like, hey, what are you doing on Friday? I'm going to see that band. Like, oh, are you excited? Oh no, I hate it. I just go because like I hate them.
It's like, yeah,
Okay.
going to see a movie that you've seen before that you hate, and you're just gonna go, I'm gonna go see it by myself again. You know.
Some people love to torture themselves. Look, hate watching's a real thing. I mean, I'm sure, you know, I'm sure we might all even maybe indulge in some hate watching of some reality TV show or some shit like that, right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, but yeah, I get it.
But that's kind of,
Jan,
you know,
you're pretty close
Or,
with
yeah.
Walking Dead, you know.
Oh yeah, I have no excuse. I have no excuse on that.
Yan actually does this exact thing that we're talking about.
It's true, I kind of do that.
He will watch something that he knows ahead of time he's going to hate, or will play a video game that he's been shitting on it for fucking weeks, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try it anyways, and he's gonna torture himself through it to ultimately still have the same opinion on the other side of it. I do not understand it.
It's coming from a good place. I'm trying. I can.
You want to give it so much the benefit of the doubt.
Because there's this part of me, like I'm an empath, but like to a crazy degree. You know what I mean? I'm the kind of person that like a stranger could come to me, lie about an entire story that none of this is true, but like, and I would be like super emotional about it. I'm really like that. So like dumb very often is like, why are you watching this, dude? You don't like that kind of content. You don't like that kind. And every time I'm like, well, the person's pretty cool. I'm trying to just get, and he's like, yeah, but it's not mean. You just don't like it. It's not mean if you don't watch it. And he's right. I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing that, dude. I don't know. I'm trying to. I want to encourage that person. He's like, but you don't know that person. That person has been nice to you once. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. And then I'm here watching something I don't want to.
The most extreme version of that would be like if you hated Kai Cenat but watched all of his streams. And you're like, I hate this guy. And you're like logging on, just like watching it.
Yeah.
Like totally all your attention.
I'm sure some people do that.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
sure some people do that.
That is the crazy part. Like, you know, there's some fucking this motherfucking kid who hates his guts and is watching him 45 hours a week. Like,
or like Jan's like, Fortnite's the dumbest video game I've ever. It's so bad. It's so and
300 hours in the game.
and tons of money and skins. You know, he's got like the latest, coolest skin.
Well, that's never gonna happen because I blame Fortnite for the state of video game right now. Right now, if people are watching this, no, I still believe that. But honestly, I've played. I'm the worst player for that. I played Counter-Strike, right, and I still okay. So that's the best example. I hate it with a burning passion. That game, I completely hate it. But then I kind of like it at the same time. So.
That way
But I
Diablo
mostly
4.
hate it. But I play it. But I hate it, and I spent so much money that I've never seen again in skins because, like, I don't know if you know about CS:GO skins, but like, it's pretty insane. You can, I mean, like, there's some people with like millions of dollars of, and it wasn't me. Just for context, but there's some people with a lot of
I never doubted you yet.
Thank you.
You could, if you wanted, have $1 million in skins.
I was not suspect.
I just want to make it very clear that I'm part of the people who failed at it.
Are
no, but I just want to make it
with this one.
You want to know who I am? I'm the kind of person who paid a few $100s, sell it back for a few $100s. Come back a few months later and realize that it's now 10K. What I had in my inventory, that's me. That's more like me being like, oh, I would have waited a year and right now I would have made a like 20 grand profit. and I sold it for $500. So that's usually me and that kind of things. But my point with that is every time I would play, there's a voice inside my head being like, why are you playing this? Like I was online with random people yelling at me, screaming, and I was the best player in the team. I had the best score, and somehow super mad at me. You don't know what you're doing, like screaming at me. And the whole time I'm just like, what am I doing that? Why am I playing that? Anything would be more fun. You know, the old games that you're playing, like tennis with 2 bars, would have been cooler than that. Why am I doing this to myself? And I would keep doing it.
Dude, I would love to. You should start streaming games that you hate or games that you don't like that you're really good at, like Counter-Strike. And I would love, especially you're like, I'm really empathetic and I'm sensitive to stuff. And then just like, you're trying your hardest to play a game you hate and people are just roasting you and you're just like, I don't know what to do, chat. It's just like,
he has to say that every thought that's going through his head, he has to verbalize it on stream.
Well, that's already me. So, but honestly, do you want to laugh, dude? I swear I used to do it. I'm not kidding. I've streamed. I did it, and you know what it was? It's worse. Like at first,
yes,
I wanted to. I did it.
He would play horror video games on stream, and I
hated every second. I hate that completely with a burning passion. Hated it. Like I hated it, and people would only vote for me to play that. So like I would log in and. Dude, I swear, I promise you, I had 300 mods in Skyrim. I was like, guys, I want to play Skyrim. I was super down. And then somehow, don't know how, topics of horror games. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not playing that. I'm terrible. I'm scared. I refuse to like go and play. But what do you think happened when I said that? People were just like, that's what we want to play. So I don't know if you know that game. It's called Visage. It's a French word, so I'm saying it in French. I don't know if there's a pronunciation in English, Visage. I don't know what it is. But like, it's this game. It's the worst. You're in a house. It's clearly haunted. You have a sanity bar and everything is randomized. So you can walk in a room and like the radio starts and like you hear like something, you hear like a ghost walking, and I'm playing that. It's like midnight. I'm streaming. Everything is like in the dark. And the whole time I was like, oh no, sorry, it's not Visage. It's me. No, is it Mira? No, it's Visage. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm doubting. I don't know. But like the whole time, dude, I would pause the stream, not pause the stream, but I would stop and I saw like a note in the game, for example, and it says I have to go in the basement. And I'm like, I'm not going. I don't care. And people were like, you can have to. That's the only thing you have to do to it. And I'm like, I'm not doing it. I don't care. I'm not going in. I know how it goes. You don't go in a horror movie. If they don't go in the basement, there's no movie. So I'm not going there. And I would scream. I would be stressed for like 4 hours after the stream. Like my ex back in the days were like, what did you do? Like, what's going on? Why'd you feel like that? I'm like, you play that game for 4 hours. Go play that. Tell me you feel fine.
He was like, no, I don't think I want to. And then never did.
No, yeah, exactly.
Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. And I swear I'm not kidding. People would only want me to play horror games because they know I would react strongly to it. So it was only that. I would only play freaking
you know what's
games.
crazy, Cam? He chose ultimately to play these games. Let's be real here. The chat can say everything they want. Yan still chose to play these games and to boot it up ultimately.
I'm very community driven in the sense that
As a cop out, Yan.
No, it's true. I'm like, no, but my vision was like, well, if that's what entertains people and they don't care about fucking Skyrim, I'm going to play what they want me to play. Of course, at that moment, I didn't realize it would be such torture the whole time. But, people were showing up. I had a couple great streams too, by the way, but streams, a lot of the streams probably. But people would show up. It was my best. Probably some of my best streams, and I was having a terrible time. So
well, I'm just kind of glad that.
But
I mean, what if that was like, oh, great, this is my whole thing now, and just like your whole thing. He was able
to break the cycle, thankfully. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's not your reality.
Remember the beginning of the interview when I said chains. Like, is that building tall enough? That would have been probably what would have happened. I couldn't, dude. I remember before my streams, usually I would be happy, you know, like, oh, let's stream, and I would be just like, oh no, like
Put a
I'm about
positive
to play
twist
now.
on it. You like to entertain, and the way you were entertaining was by doing something you didn't like doing, but it was
Yeah,
entertaining. But you're like, I'm gonna
yeah,
entertain. You know,
yeah,
it's like I don't
yeah,
know. There's a lot of people who do that. Like Fear
yeah.
Factory. It's like no one wants to
It's
do
just
that crap, but
people
it's
would
entertaining.
laugh. Dude,
Yep.
people had a great time. Like they would laugh. They would be like, they would write. They were the worst, by the way. They would tell
The
me to
worst.
go. Yes, in a way, they would tell me to go in a place that they know there's no use for it. By the way, it's just because it's going to be terrible. Like it's not even to help, like because there's a story and you have to do something. They would tell me like, oh, you have to go there, knowing that the only thing that's going to happen is going to be terrible. That's what they would do to
I feel
me,
like if
kind
you
of.
like go on like a big backpacking trip or something, you shouldn't do it alone. Like you should be with someone who's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And you're like,
Oh no,
really?
I would die
Why?
in
They
a
told us to
week. I
go
would
over
die
there.
in
And
a
they're like,
week.
it's going to suck.
I'm
Yeah.
dead in a
And they're like,
week,
okay.
probably.
Yeah.
Like it's over. Like you kept. I'm the perfect person. Perfect person. You know these people that intentionally they seek like tourists and like they're bad intended. Perfect. Me. Perfect thing. Like they would act like they need help. And then I'm there, and then where is he? And he's gone. Like that would
Yeah.
be me, like day 2 or
You're,
first
you're
day,
in a
maybe.
ditch and all your belongings were stolen.
Yeah.
RIP.
And people would just be like, of course, he like
Yeah.
he tried helping
Guy
someone.
doing what he loved.
Yeah. At least it wasn't playing Visage. That's great. So
I
I've
got
learned.
a thought I want to bring to the Brutality podcast table, which
Let's go.
so there was a top 10 albums of 2025 article that I read, and the only reason I read it is because the guy put Big Slime Summer in it, and I wish I could recall his name right now because it was a really cool article, and I don't know, maybe he's got a newsletter because I need to follow certain people better, but it was it wasn't like what he said about Big Slime Summer was cool, and I thought he had a great perspective on it and all that. And there was a lot of good records in there. But before he got into the top 10, he was just talking about the year and the sounds and metal and stuff. And he said a couple really interesting things that I've been thinking about for a couple of years, which is he said it sounds like bands are. First of all, he said something funny. He goes, death metal and hardcore are still doing this thing where they're like kind of together again, but they don't call it deathcore. There's no name for it yet. I was like, yep, that's going on. That's funny because it's like, what do you call it? Deathcore is already taken. And then he said bands are starting to experiment with less with genre and more with production. And he brought up like these bands. I don't want to say the wrong band, but it's Barbaric Brutality, I think, put out one of their things. But it just bands that like, especially death metal bands that are really leaning into the vibe of the production. And like saying this, it's like, well, that the whole like, you know, revival deathcore is kind of based around that in some respects as well. But it's like, I think that's one of the more interesting elements of where heavy music is experimenting right now is, you know, we've reached those levels and bands are still pushing into the limits of how good or crazy things can sound, but bands are also doing that thing where they're not going there, they're not going for
The
perfect, and they're
pendulum
going
is
towards
oh yeah, the pendulum is swinging back the other way right now for sure.
yeah, and
Like
it's
I think
so
it
interesting.
reached a point where it got way too sterile and clean and quote unquote
Too
overproduced
good.
and all these things
Yeah.
too good.
And I've seen it outside of metal, by the
people
way.
are just they just want something else. They're just like not, a lot of people are just not feeling that, you know, and just want the complete opposite. And it is coming out in like weird ways where like people aren't looking for a middle ground. They're looking for the complete opposite. You know, you're going for like truly like demo sounding recordings. And look, we're here for it because that's like, again, you alluded to the, you know, the like MySpace like deathcore revival sound and stuff. Like that's the shit we grew up on. So we're nostalgic for like a shitty demo sounding.
For me, the shittiest it is, man.
Know?
I'll take it. Please put some bass drops that destroy the sound. You cannot hear anything anymore. That just blow up the entire thing. Like that's for me. It's like I'm never gonna get tired of that. But I even saw it outside of metal. By the way, I've seen some sort of like, kind of grunge new metal bands, experimenting with productions that you would hear back then. So like it's a thing right now. Like people are stepping away from it. I think it's always cycles.
But don't you find it interesting though that like there are some genres though that are kind of like to the side of all that. Like we didn't really get that with like Slam or Brutal Death, those types of bands going super fucking overproduced and shit like that. There's like some maybe, but like I wouldn't say like the state of that genre has ever like hit that. As opposed to like deathcore that went like way like electronic even sounding.
Because we're fucked up. That's the reason.
But there's like some genres that kind of like, I think it's really intrinsically a part of the genre to not sound that way, to be super polished. But then again, I would have probably said the same thing for deathcore. So it's just like funny how some things go there and others don't,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I've been thinking about that for a minute. Just like, does it have vibe? Is like if it sounds really good and all that. It's like, yeah, it's clearly good. They're clearly good, but like the vibe is lacking for my taste or whatever. And I just think that's like one of the more interesting moments, and that's something I really want to see more of this year and next year. Is like just experimentation with production and like doing things that are scary to do because it's not in that like hyper polished way, but like it just has this energy, you know what I mean?
Bring back the demos too. I remember, dude, I was hearing your demos back then on MySpace. You know what I mean? Like it's cool to hear like I'm not saying to release demo always before the things, but sometimes you hear a track and somehow it works as a like demo, just raw thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Works.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's cool. And I think people like that. I think people 100%. Like that. Like they relate to it. They think it's cool. They feel like they have an in on the the process or whatever. I'm surprised by the way that we don't see a bit more of that. Even like demos before the tracks or whatever. It's
because it's just because of the way we consume music now, right? Like now it's Spotify, and they don't really. I guess you could maybe put a demo on Spotify, but they have some.
No, you're right. It's different though.
Yeah, like
there's like some gatekeeping to it. You'd have to pay at the very least, to put up your demo on Spotify and shit like that. So it's just different. Didn't
think about that side of things, because I have MySpace in my mind, but it's gone unfortunately. So it's but let's be honest, it was one of the coolest things. You would go on your bands that you like, and then it was written like whatever, like new demo or
it's the pre-production, the pre-pro versions of songs, right?
Was like, so sick. And then you heard certain things, and sometimes like a part of the song wouldn't be. Sometimes it would happen to me, like a sick breakdown, something I liked, and then it's kind of different in the final version. But even when that thing would happen, you still felt like you were part of something. It's like I heard like something before that. And I don't know, that part to me created like a cool connection with the fans and the artists that is harder to create. I guess you can create it now differently, like studio updates and stories and stuff. Sure.
I mean, you can still put your demos on fucking, SoundCloud like they used to back in the day, and you can still, put it up on Bandcamp. But the reality is that like people just aren't, there's like no real good ways to get people to go to like fucking SoundCloud and to actually listen to it. And
I would do well on there because I already look like a rapper sometimes. So I would probably do very well if I would go there. People would click on the music and they'd be like, ugh. But at first I think I would do well.
There's
maybe like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm too late. No, maybe it's gonna work. Maybe it's gonna be like, oh, I missed that one. Who, like, what was this one? Like I missed that one.
Lil Yan.
Yeah, Lil Yan. My name.
I think like on that topic of like production
SoundCloud
though,
rappers?
like I do to me think that like sure, like outside of like, you know, musical trends and production trends and stuff like that, like to me it's always kind of comes back to like, does the production serve the song, right? Like does it work for what they're trying to do? And we've seen countless examples of like heavy bands go for some cleaner productions or go to this radio producer or something, and like I on one sense, in one sense, I like kind of respect the move of trying to do something maybe a little bit different, but then when the outcome just doesn't fit the vibe of the songs, you're just like, what are we doing here? Like sometimes it's just like a weird mismatch, right? Where I don't know, and that doesn't really have to do with like trends or where music is going and the interest for raw or polished music and stuff like that. But I don't know, like I still feel like, especially if we're talking about, let's say, like modern deathcore, like a lot of that music probably wouldn't make sense with raw recordings. Like it's kind of built for like with that
agree.
clean recording in mind, and like
That
the
I agree.
electronic elements and like all these things, right? So there's like
Agreed.
there's like space for both for sure, right? It's more nuanced than just like you know, raw good production bad, you know. But
Yeah.
it's interesting because I do feel like right now it's just there's just like a style of deathcore that just caters to that, and so we hear a lot of that, right? And if you don't like the genre and you don't like the production, well then yeah, you're probably gonna want to do something else, right? That's like completely different. But
Yeah.
Sorry,
The
go
production
ahead.
has almost evolved with the sound.
absolutely, yeah.
And it's also a modern thing because we have the tools now. Like you take any modern deathcore band and you make them go record through like a 90s studio, and it's not going to sound, it's probably won't translate. And it's also, I won't say not translate, but it's not even made that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't even make that sound with 90s gear almost, because it's made like
Yeah,
in
it's
the
with the
computer
fucking
almost.
whammy pedal and the Digitech fucking glitches and noises and the octave down on the low string and the, you know, it's like all these things that are like are a part of the sound that just
Your point.
doesn't cater to like just plugging in straight into a 5150. Like it's just it's just different, you know.
You just made me realize something though, because I always wondered why, like, not that I don't like modern deathcore is just not like my favorite thing with like the synths and everything. I can appreciate it. I just won't go out of it's not my favorite thing. But I don't know if you guys remember bands like Giants Among Us and like bands with like huge synths, but it was sounding raw and pretty violent. I don't have other examples of that.
I mean, the
like,
Winds of Plagues of the
Winds of
day,
Plagues,
shit
yeah.
like that, yeah.
But
Well, my
it
thing would be
was-
Emperor. Emperor's
Sure.
like that. Like
Yeah,
I was listening to
pretty
Emperor. I mean,
badass.
I listen to Emperor a lot. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
But
all good.
they use a lot of orchestra, strings, keyboards, and stuff. And it just, I was listening to, because like their last album's actually really heavy. It's Prometheus, and if you reimagine it in like with modern techniques, like I was like, this almost could sound parallel to like a lot of modern deathcore. You know what I mean? I was like, that's so weird because nothing about it hits that way. That was my thought. So I feel bad for cutting you off, Jan. You were
No, at all. No. It's we're here for that. I mean, it's the whole point of the conversation, and people had heard me talking way enough, I think. But honestly, it's the way I see it is just again, there's nothing. I think you're right, them. I think it wouldn't make sense to hear like a Lorna Shore and like a demo. I think it would just be not as good. Basically, it wouldn't work. But for other bands, it's the opposite. Actually, in my opinion, certain deathcore, the amount of times I would hear something insane, I would be like, if only it was a bit more raw, not as like cleaned up like that. For me, a lot of the times, but I have the
Yeah.
worst taste possible. I'm listening to like
No,
2005
but we
EPs,
we
but
went through like the specific era where bands, you know, where home recordings started being a thing, where the Axe effects, the Kempers, where all these like all this digital technology kind of all came in at a time where deathcore also died. And like
yeah.
a lot of the bands that did stick around, there was like that kind of we went into a digital era, right? So for us specifically, there's like kind of a bit more of a hatred towards towards that sort of stuff, because we're like, fuck gent, fuck the electronic stuff, fuck the, you know, the deathcore bands that went that route or whatever. Like we always talk about Die Artist Murder's hate as like the beginning of the end for like raw recordings. Like it all of a sudden, like that Will Putney style of like punched in, like to the point where it's like even it's like reverse punched in. They like they shave it off for it to punch even more. It's like I don't know, it's like super fucking tight, like overly tight. Like that became the new standard for deathcore all of a sudden, right? Because that album blew up and that the production was a huge part of it. So like we have like this weird relationship with like what it means because of what happened within deathcore. But it's like,
well, there's also another element to this that it's like maybe we're thinking about this the wrong way. And when you said like Lorna Shore, I thought about them because those guys are really skilled. Like they're as musicians, they're really skilled. You know what I mean? And I think when you go see them live, it's like an analog experience, right? And like they're at that band is at the point in their career where like when you go see them live, then I'm a gear nerd, so it's like I'm not a gear nerd in terms of what's on stage, but sometimes what's in the front of house.
yeah, sure.
And I've seen like walkthroughs on their front of house rig, and like the vocals are going through an analog distressor, for example. You know,
Yeah.
I know that they recorded with this distressor too. I think what's that guy who did that like signed? He did a Lorna Shore record, and he did a Signs of the Swarm record.
Schroeder.
I think Schroeder has a very kind of like analog approach to how he records, because so much of I think that guy's process is what's going in. Like if you've ever watched a Nail It Mix with Schroeder, he's very it's a lot of philosophy, and it's a lot of talk about the recording process. And when you actually watch him mix it, it doesn't hit the same like someone who's using a billion plugins, for example, because sometimes he's barely doing anything to these stems because they just nailed them going in, you know, whether it's the vocals or like dialing the guitar tones a certain way or whatever. So I think like Signs of the Swarm and Lorna Shore, for as intense and as polished as it is, I do think it's like a pretty good example of like a pretty analog recording of performances, you know. And like, yeah, there's probably a buttload of pre-production and that went into writing the songs and getting them to go and, you know, so they can play it a certain way. And maybe they're working on that pre-production. That was part of the studio experience, was like refining the songs to the point where like, okay, this song is now mapped out. Now let's actually like record it, like go get in the drum room. Like he's talked about how he knows his drum room a lot. It's a small space. So he adds like a reverb to the drum bus to give it a little more space. And it's just because he knows his room so well. He also did a thing too, because I have a distressor in my vocal chain, and I like just kind of got it, and I didn't really figure it out. I didn't have a lot of experience using it yet. I didn't do a lot of projects with it yet. Just got it, and I watched a video. I think it was a Signs of the Swarm video, just because I like Schroeder, and he was talking about using the distressor. And he was like, I just want all the lights to light up, like in terms of the gain reduction meter.
Okay.
He's like, I want to get my money worth out of the box, so I want all the lights to go up. So it was like, I think the distressor like tops out at like 28 decibels of gain reduction. So when you're getting all the lights to light up, you're like definitely plus 20 decibels of gain reduction. I just thought that was like the most badass way of thinking about it. I was like, he's like, I just want to slam it. I was like, hell yeah. you know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
the vocal production on like Signs of the Swarm, like specifically, is like so crushed. Like it's so like,
crushed. It's that distressor.
Yeah, like I just find it's like a brick of sound. Like it's very.
Oh know? Yeah. Especially with the way that guy sounds, and then into it. Like I think Schroeder's chain is like a Neve 1073, which, you know, famous preamp, and maybe I'm just assuming his preamp also has the EQ on it, and so maybe he's like, you know, amplifying or doing the cutting of the low end maybe before it even hits the distressor, and then the distressor, the ratios are brutal. There's like a nuke setting. Maybe he's using the nuke. So like 25 dB of gain reduction with a screaming vocal out of a hot preamp with a nuke setting. It's like it's going to be a brick coming in. And then you could do that with plugins and stuff, but I'll tell you this about the distressor from having like a real one and then using the plugins. It's just a different beast when it's the real one. And I don't use the real one for mixing. I only use it for tracking. So that's like a funny thing about my perspective on like the real unit compared to the software. But like I know Lorna Shore uses a distressor live. So like everything that's going into that mic is just being, and then it's not just being squashed. There's like distortion on it. I don't know if they're on or not, but it's going to give you distortion, a natural grit, you know? So it's like, that's like a part of the record sound and a part of the live sound. So I have a feeling, again, like, it's like, maybe we're looking at some of this, like, just like, you know, what if we're looking at this the wrong way? Like, what if these bands are like really analog, you know, because you go see that live and it's,
well,
you know?
so here's the thing. I think it's just, I guess it's semantics, right? It's like the words we're using, but like, you know, like something can be fully analog and still be like a clean sounding, you know, quote unquote. Because I think the words overproduced and polished, you know, can kind of mean a lot of different things, right? But I think you can have a very clean sounding production with all analog gear. That doesn't mean it's not because you're using analog gear that it's a raw recording, right? Like those two things can be true, right? So if we're talking about Lorna Shore, like I think like ultimately, like when you listen, or Signs of the Swarm, I think even more so, like you listen to the record and it sounds very, there's like a digital feel to it, regardless of how it was recorded. Like it's very, and maybe it's in the how crushed it is and how, you know, because it's like super in your face, or I don't know, right? But like I wouldn't consider that like a raw sounding recording all that much, right? But maybe it's just like the fucking clickiness of the kick drum. I don't know, right? Like there's just like different things that can make something sound electronic more than something else. But
but I think you just know
incorporation of the drum trigger was like a big thing in figuring out how to record death metal. You know, especially when the kicks got so fast, the transients would get so lost in the drum recordings in early like proto death metal, proto brutal death metal, and that's like when like the triggers became so like important to the recording with like deicide and stuff, you know, probably Morbid Angel, I'm assuming, because like it just, I don't, it that, yeah, you're right, like that is a, you know. And then maybe like when I was on that Angel Maker tour, I think there was some brilliant bands that were playing on that tour, some Canadian bands, and I remember this was a conversation me and the guys had almost every night, which was just like how good.
Johnny brought us back some of these when I saw him last.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, Johnny's really good about keeping like cool like memorabilia from tours. Dude, when I went to his apartment, I felt embarrassed about my collection because I was like, dude, I don't even know where any of my shit is.
He told me like fucking 8 months before I saw him, he's like, next time I see you, I've got something for you. And like, come the day of, and he's I brought this for you. I was like, how do you even remember this shit? Like,
that's so cool. Johnny's the man. Johnny's the man. Shout out Johnny.
Shout out Johnny.
But yeah, we were just like blown away by like the rigs these like quote unquote opener locals were using, and
Oh yeah,
we
it's
had
got
a
the full in ears and the whole electronic fucking setup and everything. No
yeah,
amps.
great sound. Like everything was like there, and like granted, some of these bands you could refer to them as like local openers, but like some of the bands on that tour were like legitimate bands that just happened to fill that slot.
Mhm.
And there was one of them that like played like 5 shows with us. But when we played in Seattle, there was a band that didn't use, it was the only band on the entire tour that I saw that mic'd the kick drum.
Mm.
And man, it was a different vibe in the room.
Mhm.
Like that thing smacked. Like, and it was, they weren't playing death metal. It was more groovy.
Sure.
So granted that they're not keeping up with the BPMs, and you know that's not a major component of like the song is how the kicks are hitting. But I was like, I remember being like, man, this sounds crazy. This is, and it was funny because it was just the mic'd kick drum. You know,
But so
sound
refreshing,
guy,
right? Like it's just like something you've never heard before. Yeah.
yeah. So like maybe
Yeah.
that's like to add into that conversation of like, you know, this thing that we're not just missing sometimes, but also like looking for. And then now that some bands are leaning into it, that we're kind of like, yeah, like that's cool. Like I like the way this sounds, you know?
Dude, in the tours that I've done, I can probably count the number of bassists I've seen on like one fucking hand, dude. Everyone, and this was maybe an era, but like everyone was like, fuck a bassist, I'm gonna put it on a fucking track instead. And it was like MIDI bass through the fucking PA. And I'm like, what are we doing here? Now it's like, fuck the amps, we're going straight to the board, you know, like out of the fucking, you know, the quad cortex straight into the board. There's no amps on stage. Everything's pre-processed, going straight into the board. Like, dude, I don't get it, man. Like, and then so then we have these scenarios like that where like you just hear a fucking an Ibanez plugged into like an overdrive straight into the 5150 in a Marshall cab, and you're like, holy fuck, how does he sound like this? Yeah, he just plugged a fucking guitar into an amp, dude. That's what he did, you know? But it's like, it's become almost foreign to us. I don't know, man. It's a weird thing in that sense. And I don't know if it's that this is like a metal thing. Maybe it's like different in other genres, but in metal, it's kind of getting insane.
Yeah. And maybe this speaks on just the state of metal in a way where we are still in like a, you know, we're talking about like how good production is and how it's like it's almost become sterile how good everything is sounded. Like maybe this is opening up the can of worms of like there is still so much room for creating what we want to hear or whatever, you know what I mean?
For sure, absolutely.
Like, and how you configure all these things and how you attribute it into your style. Because I feel like when you talk about production and then you talk about songwriting, like to me, especially with Disfiguring, I feel like the production and the songwriting are like directly linked.
Yeah.
You know, like I got a quad cortex, and this has been a thing I've been
but that's because you're a producer, right? Like,
yeah.
There's a distinction there because I think most people aren't producers, so they don't have that. You know, they're just writing a song. They don't necessarily have the capability even of thinking of the production at the same time, right?
Oh yeah. But like back to just playing more guitar. And I got a quad cortex a couple of years ago, I think. And when I first got it, I think the first year I had it, I just loaded up the default 5150 patch, and I don't think I ever touched it. I just like, all right, cool, just use that forever. And now I'm kind of more into the quad and all the gear and like all the stuff that you can have access to that, you know, like instead of going and buying like a Marshall and hearing that, feeling that air and feeling the tubes and all that stuff, it's like, that's, you know, accessibility, whatever, like it's easier for me to just check it out on my quad, and you get it's close, right? So it's like, it's good enough to mess around with, especially if you're just playing guitar. Yeah. And so like a lot of what I've tried to do in 2025 was just play a lot of guitar, and through that and through like the quad cortex getting better, like just being able to control the quad cortex on my computer. So like just swap things out really quickly. and then just like, you know, really messing with the pickups and stuff. Cause I used to be a big, like just bridge only pickup kind of guy. And now I'm really into like, you know, the switch. Like I love the neck pickup. I love like the center position where you get both voices. And it really depends also on like what you're running it into. And sometimes I think the amp makes the least amount of difference. I think in my experience, the cab has been the biggest vibe change in terms of tone and feeling. And I'll just like, and there's like a billion cabs just in the quad, not even like community modded or what, or, you know, someone's capturing their quad or their cab. And I'm just like, I'll go through these things and I'll just like, my intention is just to play guitar, and I'll just pick different cabs or pedals or whatever, just to like give me a different vibe and switch around with the pickups. And once you'll play something, you'll be playing stuff that you'll never play if it was acoustic or if you're just always in the same patch or whatever. And I've written so many songs lately that are, I got a weird patch. My goal is just to sit down and play guitar for like 30 minutes or whatever. And all of a sudden I've like written a couple riffs that go together, and I'm like, damn it.
That you only would have gotten because of the random thing you were able to slot into your quad.
A certain cab, just like you know, oh, that sounds crazy. And you start playing it. And like, yeah, you're playing it or whatever, but then you can reach and maybe it's just in my mind with like the songwriting production stuff. I'll hear it immediately. And I'm like, damn. And immediately opens up Ableton. Like, might as well just get this in there. You know what I mean? And to be honest, anything I've like tried to like, let me just get this in Ableton, it's like doesn't go anywhere, right? But I would say if it's not going to go anywhere, it's not going to go anywhere. Like if you're going to record it just to like get this idea down, it's like it's done. But I would say 95% of the time I open up Ableton, like let me get this in there. In 2 hours, I have a whole song done, and I'm like, damn it! And it just has like a unique sound because of the way the cab was, and I think that's like something I've been really to this conversation of like maybe there's so much more room for experimentation with equipment and how it feeds into production, how it feeds into songwriting, how it feeds into a sound, how it feeds into the scene and the culture. It's like I've been kind of like almost like micro on like a track by track basis, like experiencing that and experimenting with that, you know. And it makes me think that like, wow, we are nowhere near the top of even where this sound can be, because there's so many configurations that have yet to be put into place. And that's all coming from the same point of view where I'm like, probably every drum pattern has been played before. You know what I mean? Like in metal, it's like, how many beats do you have? Unless you're Cody from Soundscapes Of Death, because that dude is the swaggiest, most creative drummer, I think, in that kind of like vibey type of sound. You know what I mean? And then, I don't know, even to that note, like I'm a big fan of like getting certain MIDI packs and just like, you know, blast beat's a blast beat, right? But it's like, it's not, because like literally every single drummer will play a blast beat differently. And like that contributes to this whole thing too. So this whole thing of like, we're
that's the
cooked.
human element of it, right? Like that's
exactly. Like this whole thing of like, we're cooked, we're overproduced, like it's sterile, we got to go back. It's like, maybe that's just a part of this process of being like, yeah, we hit this wall and now it just needs to explode. And I think that's kind of happening right now. I love it.
To the quad point, like I mean, that stuff's been a thing in studios, right? Like for the few people that are able to go record in a big fucking studio with a million fucking amps in it, you know, and go try different shit out and, you know, quote unquote patch different shit in. But like the quads made that accessible to everyone, right? Which was which kind of like, to your point, like now the possibilities of that can be explored for real, and not like the 1,000 artists a year that were able to previously do it, right, for whatever type of record they were doing. So
or
especially if we're talking
studios.
in the confines of metal, how many records are being made within metal, you know, that are actually go into a big enough studio with a big enough budget to fucking even toy around with these things. And even the big studios, not everyone does that still, you know, so it's a very finite amount of people that are actually experimenting with that stuff in the real world. So to have it like in a box is pretty, for sure, like it changes the game in that sense, right? But
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'm curious, like, how do you play live? Because you played guitar live. Was that with the quad? Were you in an amp?
For Diuli, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went the most minimum route we possibly could, just because it's Diuli's live is literally a baby band. It's literally like, you know, let's just like figure this out and get on a stage and just play the songs. Granted, everyone's like kind of technical to some degree, so like we used a quad direct in. James had a dark glass direct in, and then I don't think drums were just like using house kits, just mic'd by the sound guy. And we did have in ears. That was like the one thing we did, because Diuli is there's so many samples and atmosphere and keys and stuff. So we did use backtracks for all that stuff, and we all had in ears to like. It was also funny too, because the setup was like compared to like Angel Maker setup is the only other one I've experienced, but you could literally choose what you wanted in your ears.
With Angel Maker, yeah.
Who on stage you wanted, what demos you wanted, like whatever you wanted in your ears, you could customize. But this was like everyone kind of had to make compromises.
The tracks with the fucking drums in it. Deal with it.
Everyone wanted basically everything. I wanted just click. Like I was like, all I need is the click and the count offs, and I'll do it. But everyone wanted the guitar, everyone wanted the bass, everyone wanted the vocals, which drove me nuts too, because I had to hear all the vocals in my ear. So that was gonna trip you out, because like, you know, there's at least one spot where I like forgot to be doing the vocals, and I'm like hearing it in my ears, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on right now? And that was just about like, let's go out and we did 2 shows. The first show was like I don't want to say it was a nightmare. It wasn't a nightmare by that stretch. I mean these like from my point of view, because I had to play guitar and do vocals the whole time. And I've never done that at the same time before, and especially never done it live. So I was like, practice my fucking ass off. I was so concerned with just like nailing the guitar and the vocals. And I was really happy with my performance on the first one. But it was chaos was the part. It was like literally like a South by Southwest style set where like we loaded in from the street. It was like total chaos. It was like a festival kind of thing. It was for Gathering of the Nations, which is the world's largest powwow.
Okay.
Pretty dope. Yeah. In New Mexico, because Aaron's native. So he's always connections to all these things. And he was playing it as a DJ already. And the guy who books him also does a bunch of metal. And he was like, what about your metal band? Like, can that do it? And Aaron was like, and then he called me, and I was like, let me call James and see if him and Josh want to do. Josh is like James, you know, partner in crime, drummer. They've done a bunch of projects together. I was like, let me see if they'll be down to do it. And I called James, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I think you'll be surprised. It'll be good. And I was like, okay. And we just figured it out and did it. And the second show was better because I was already through the nerves of like pulling off the guitar. Sure. And dude, answer this for me. So I play guitar all the time. Never burn out. Yeah, like you need to give your forearm a rest sometimes if you're playing too hard, or you know, your fingers might like, if you're playing a lot of chords or something, your fingers might like stretched, you know, break or whatever. Yeah. But both times when I was playing live, and I haven't played guitar live since I was 16. Disfiguring the Goddess has actually played a couple shows live, and I was the guitar player in it. So I played those, and then I was in a punk band. I played those. So I've been on stage and played guitar as a kid, but dude, like 70% way through the set, I'm not kidding you, my hands just stopped working. You know, James was telling me it was adrenaline, but I haven't talked to anyone else. Like, is that a thing? Like, when you're playing live, you can literally in practice play for 4 hours the whole set, and then you go next day you go and play it live, and 15 minutes into it, your hands just break. They won't work.
Well, look, I guess there's for you, you're also screaming, right? So you're probably not all that attentive to your guitar playing ultimately when it comes
Yeah.
to technique and like whatever. And I don't know how you practice, but no, most people don't practice standing either. So that in itself is like you're just not holding it the same. It's like a different it's like a different beast altogether. So maybe there's something to that as well. But yeah, and then on top of it, I think anyone that plays live is kind of like de facto going a little bit harder than they normally
Adrenaline.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I love that element.
You love
rock
that
and
element,
roll.
but it does that to you. You know?
Yeah.
Like, cause you know, I've never played guitar live, but my guitarists, you know, would kind of go through the same thing. They would never have an issue jamming, you know, and we'd like rock out in the jam room and like play standing and play as though we were playing a show, but we're in the fucking garage and like I'm fucking
no pressure.
a foot away from the wall. Like there's nothing, you know, so it's a different vibe. But I think, yeah, the second you go live, it's just, I don't know, man, you're into it more. You're not thinking about it the same way. You're like in the moment. You've got to scream at the same time. You're like, no, I don't know. There's just a million factors as to what could like make you play in a more, not more stressed out, but like a more like cramped up way.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I remember at one point I could barely hold on to the pick. like I was like, I don't have enough strength to even hold this thing right now. And I'm supposed to be, you know, I feel like I pulled it off, but I made it work because, you know, rock and roll. But I just remember that being like,
that's the adrenaline helping you plow through it.
Yeah. Like as a vocalist, I always felt the adrenaline of the show it always made me like way better. Like,
sure. Yeah,
last time doing vocals solely was the Angel Maker tour. And like we were practicing and I was like, man, this is going to be fucked. Cause I think I said this on the last year's podcast, but I was like pretty sick when I was really planning on learning the songs properly. So we did like we were planning on doing more practices than they would normally do anyways, just for my sake. But like even in then I was like really trying to learn these songs and it was really hard. But I remember like, you know, and being nervous before, and I have a kind of a theory that if you're not nervous to play a show, it's gonna suck.
Okay, sure.
You know, like as a DJ, every time I was not nervous to do something, and I don't mean nervous like crippling anxiety. I mean like you got nerves, you got like you know what's coming kind of thing.
Yeah.
If I didn't feel that, if I felt totally relaxed, like it was, you know, I wasn't even like I was too present. I was like way too chill. I knew I was gonna suck, and it was always true. And but yeah, like vocals.
I can relate to that. I haven't really thought about it that way, but I mean, I've always been. Some people, you know, they're like, yeah, fuck it, like this is my everyday life, and you know, fuck it, I'll rock out, no pressure at all. But I've always had. I've talked about this before, but the pre-show shits every single time. Like there's no escaping it, and that's just like
classic.
There's never been a moment where that hasn't come. So it's always. Yeah, I to be fair, haven't lived that moment of I'm so confident and then it becomes shit. I've just always, I've always had the pre-show jitters, I guess.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good.
You just learn that that's okay, right? Like,
I love it.
Stopped
I'm like,
stressing about it. But I think the first times that happens, you're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Right. I think you just learn that like that's just a part of it. And then the second the first note starts playing, you're like your adrenaline takes over and it's all good. Right. But
like after the first Angel Maker show, I was like, holy shit, what just happened? Like I somehow nailed it. You know what I mean? Like out of nowhere, like 10 times better than the practices. And I was even like before we were driving out to wherever the first show was. And I was like on the computer, like listening to the songs. I'm like, oh shit, like we're cooked. And then get up there and I'm like, but I feel like a lot of that is like you are preparing. I mean, if you just like said we're cooked and then just like gave up and you weren't thinking about it, you're probably gonna suck.
Yeah.
But if you're preparing for it mentally, I think you're gonna surprise yourself probably every time. But I love that feeling of like it's not like a nerve. It's, you could say nervous, but it's really so nerves. Like it's like, oh shit, like I'm pumped up right now. Like I'm feeling it. Let's go rock, you know. And the daily shows were, yeah. Tell me.
Oh no, finish your thought. I got all.
The daily shows were crazy because like we didn't. It's my first time like playing live, and it's something like that was so new, but it was also something that I was like totally a part of. The whole process. And like, you know, you get the sound guys like, you know, you're go for it. And yeah, look at the guys and everyone's like this, like press play on the computer to start the click track, and you're like, holy shit. And then the count off happens and you start playing the intro, and I'm like, all right, like there's people all around, they're all staring at you. I'm like, all right, I guess I guess this is it, you know.
Yeah.
It feels good. It's fun. I think everyone should go do it.
I had like a slightly different like experience. Like I was asked to fill in for a band for some dates, but there were odds that the dude was gonna be. Long story short, the guy, he wasn't sure if he was gonna be able to come into Canada. was the thing there. So they wanted a backup to like a vocalist in case this dude wasn't able to turn up to their shows. So I was that guy, and I prepared, like I was kind of last minute on it. Like I kind of under shot how much time I was gonna need to prep for it. So I felt like I was going into it a little less prepped than I would have probably enjoyed. So I already felt like not there, right? So there's obvious nervousness because of that. But then turns out the dude was able to pass through, but I was going to do the tour with them regardless. Cause I was taken off of work. So I was like, hey, if I'm not going to do the vocals, still sling me around for like, I'll do photos, like whatever, just have me do something. So I'm not sitting at home for a week instead of, and missing work for nothing. Right.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm on this tour with them, but they have their vocalist. And then it came to like, oh, well, you could do like a feature, or the vocalist was he was like, I don't know, not being lazy about it, but he's like, hey, you could do like a song or two. And I was like, no, this is your band, dude. Like, you know, but then that whole like situation that you're talking about like the, you know, the song kicks in and there's the adrenaline and like you're kind of like looking at the crowd like, okay, I guess I got to do this. It felt so like I had felt that with playing for my own bands, but doing it for someone else's band in like the middle of a set felt so different. Like I felt like I wasn't able to have that same kind of energy kick in, because I wasn't a part of it like right like from the get-go, and I was like observing the band and like taking photos for a few songs and like looking at the crowd. Like there's just like a different relationship to what was going on than actually performing with the band. So actually going up on stage to do like just a part, I fucking bombed, dude. I was ass. I just couldn't do it. And then there's like a part of me, I was like, would that have been the case if I turned out to have to do the entire set? And like, I genuinely don't think so, but it's just like it was like a weird relationship to getting up on stage to do the thing, but it not really doing the thing. And I don't know, it's a weird experience, because I had never lived that before. It had always been my own music. I had never, you know, I think I had gotten up and maybe done some guest spots for bands or whatever here and there, but I don't know. Maybe there was just something to the fact that it was like a different relationship with the band and what my job had initially, like how much prep I had put into it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
Valid, dude.
That was a weird one.
Because I have a few experiences with that. I've done guest vocals a couple times. First time I did it was the Mitch Lucker Memorial, and I remember feeling so like not out of place. But like every other vocalist that was doing the show was like a professional touring metal vocalist. and I was the only metal. Well, there's some guys that were like metal vocalists that have been in bands that maybe weren't active at the time, but I was probably had the least experience there, and then it was like being thrown in to do that. I remember being like, this is absolutely bizarre. I'm so glad they filmed it. Otherwise, I don't think I'd remember a second of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the second time, Snuffed on Sight came to Reno. I don't know when. It was like maybe 2023 or whatever. And I did my feature from their last record, and that felt very similar. But that show was pretty laid back, and they're a laid back band, so it was kind of like whatever, you know what I mean? It was like, I mean, I felt
Chill
pretty
vibes.
crazy because at that point that was like almost 10 years of not going on stage and doing vocals. So it was like kind of experience. And then when Angel Maker came to Sacramento, I came on their last year's headliner tour, the one with Humanity's Last Breath and Psycho Frame. I went out to Sacramento, and Colton and I kind of like surprised everybody. But being like very Canadian, a couple people knew, and he was kind of like, I had to tell them I felt bad, yeah. So
that's funny as fuck.
There's definitely some people who were surprised, but there's like a couple guys who knew.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, dang, what the heck? But I remember when I got there, Colton was like, oh, you want to do Leech? And the funny thing with Leech, I talked to Colton yesterday. I was actually talking to him about this very thing, is because when I was learning the songs, Casey had a laptop and the lyrics up, and he would scroll, and we would basically like karaoke the songs. And I think last year I talked about this too, how we filmed it. And for like most of the shows, I brought a laptop out and I had it like synced to the set. So if I was like, I don't know what's going on, I could glance at it and like remind myself. And at a certain point, it was actually throwing me off. So I stopped looking at it and bringing the laptop out because I got it down. But Leech, he just assumed I knew the song. So when Leech would come out, he'd go, everyone knows Leech. And he shut the laptop. And I'm like, okay. So I felt like that whole tour, I never really learned Leech, right? And the show comes for their headliner, and Colton's like, do you want to play Leech with us? And I was kind of like,
out of all the songs,
yeah. I was like, not really. I was like, what's the set list? Like, send me the set list. And he sent me the set list, and I'm going through it. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, can I do this song, this song, this song, and this song? And they were magically, the songs I knew were all like kind of spaced out by 2 songs a piece. And those guys are the best. They were like, yeah, that'd be cool. And I just thought that was so cool because like their headlining tour, like, all the people are coming out to see him and stuff. And they were just like, yeah, dude, that sounds badass. And they were like, we'll try to run you a mic. And they're like, we can't run you a mic, but just use Colton's mic. And I was like, all right. So like in Sacramento, every couple songs I would go out there and literally just play a whole song with them.
Take Colton's mic off. Okay, I'm taking this back.
Yeah. And then they're like Hollowed Heart, which is like probably one of my favorite Angel Maker songs. And one of the reasons I would say it's one of my favorites is because I'm such a fan of Colton's vocals.
Yeah.
And he does a ton of vocals in it. And I think the peak of that song, like the coolest part of the song, is when it just gets like really heavy and almost like slammy. And he's just like belting out it's only Colton. I thought that he does a lot of like splashes in that song too. So when I went out and played that song with him, it was almost like, I didn't even remove the mic for most of it, or I would hold the mic. Like I would just stand next to him. We would both be just switching back and forth. It was very fun. It was a good moment for Colton and I. And then ironically, when Diuli played in Albuquerque, Angel Maker was playing the same night down the street.
No
way. We couldn't believe it. So, and the sets worked perfectly. So, I would say maybe about 4 of the guys came out and watched our set, and then
it's like
immediately
went
back.
The band.
Yeah, straight up. I think it was like Colton, Matt, and Cole. I think it was. So maybe it was 3 of them. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then afterwards, we packed up our shit, and then went over to where they were playing, and I did the exact same thing. And when I got there, they were already playing.
Okay.
So I just like, basically just walked backstage, and then like the guys I was with, like the Dooley, me, Aaron, James, and Josh, and then our tour manager Terrence are all in there, and then like we just walk in, and like they told me this afterwards. They're like, "Where'd Cam go?" And then immediately I'm on stage doing vocals, and they're like, "What the hell is going on?" And I did the same thing over there, and it was very similar to what you were saying, where it was like there was a song I did, or at one point I just like I don't think there was a bunch of instrumental breaks, or maybe I wasn't just doing a lot of vocals, or maybe I forgot a lot of it, But I just was like on stage, just like hanging out almost.
You just got to do the dance moves. You've at least got that, right?
Yeah.
I don't got that for my scenario, so.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think it was like, what the hell is that dude doing? It was just kind of funny, and everyone in the band was laughing. They're like, this is so funny. But I remember feeling, maybe another reason for that too is they don't have any amps on stage and everything's in their ears. So like when you're on stage, it's quiet. All you can hear is drums. So everything is just the PA. So I'm like trying to remember the songs, listening to the room, and I'm just like,
right, because you don't have in-ears for the guest spot. Yeah.
The cool thing too, though, is Ian was there obviously as well. So it was like 3 vocalists.
Oh yeah.
And I knew a lot of Casey's parts too, so I just would like overdub with whatever parts I felt like I should just come in at. It was actually really cool.
They were already doing the song regardless, like
exactly. It wasn't like you were gonna fuck it up. Yeah, so then maybe that took a little bit of the pressure off, like fucking it up or whatever. But to test to what you're saying, like those are my, that would sound like a lot of talking, but that's literally all my guest vocal spots live I've ever done, and I did do that Suffocation guest vocal on that tour. I didn't know what I was doing there either. That wasn't filmed. I would have remembered that either. But I felt the same way you did, where I was like, what's going on? Like, and I think it's, you lose that nerves. Your nerves are distributed differently, where you're like, the band's playing and you're like side stage, like, holy shit, do I remember this song? What does it even sound like? And then you're just hearing their other songs.
No, worse than that, it's like, anticipating, like, when this shit comes in, like, you've got that dialed down, the fucking song, the lyrics, what part comes before it, but for some reason when you're side stage you forget all of it. You're like, when am I coming in again? What was the part before this again? But like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, man.
Like in Sacramento, the side stage is near the kitchen thing, and I remember being on my phone like trying to listen to the song, like,
yes.
make sure I remember this one, like, do I do it? Do I go out there? I don't know if I remember it. And like the guys, it was actually the Snuffed On Sight guys. It was their newer drummer Jesse and Spencer, the bass player. They were there, and I was like, do I just go do it? Like, yeah. I was like, all right, fuck it.
That's awesome, dude. We've I think we hit a new record, Cam.
I feel like I'm always setting the record over here.
Always said he's got the most amount of appearances.
See, Don, you might have called it a filler, but
I mean, three and a half hour fillers exist, my man. That is.
Yeah.
No, dude, but I don't know, man. This was I love doing this, man. We could do this for fucking another 3 fucking hours, man. So I mean, look, it's gonna have to be year 4.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think it's interesting too, like, some of the conversations we had this evening, there was moments where it circles back to what Jan was talking about with like language, and how like you don't want to come off the wrong way, and we're trying to express thoughts literally in the middle of like it's not like we're talking about something that happened like 4 years ago. We have all this perspective and these ways of speaking about it. Like some of the things we're talking about are literally either happening or not even happening, or like, it's all right now. So it's like to attest to like communication and stuff, like it's so conversational, and like it's just like we have to just barf all this stuff out to figure out what we're even like trying to talk about sometimes. And I think that's one of the cool parts about this podcast specifically, because like before when I came on, Don went off and we were chit chatting a little bit, and he's like, we already went through all the lore, so it's going to be like pretty conversational. I'm like, let's go. So it's like, you know, when we have like these conversations where we're like, you know, we're all interested in the scene, we're all trying to like contribute to the scene, we all love the scene. It's like we're just communicating. I think that's like an important thing to like stamp on all this that kind of runs through a lot of our conversations today. It's just like, you know, we could listen to this tomorrow and be like, what the hell are we talking about? It's not what, you have a different perspective on it, but it's like
editing this tomorrow, I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, it's not that. And you remember the vibe of like how we're trying to communicate. It's like, the vibe that we were trying to talk about is not the same thing I'm like hearing right now in like this like post, you know, transcribed kind of like literal sense.
The post nut clarity kicks in, and you know, it's suddenly a different vibe.
Yeah,
which is why it's useful for me to be always slightly off, because then I'm just like, yeah, that checks out. You know, like I'm gonna hear myself, I'm gonna be like, yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
totally fine.
Of course.
No
yeah,
problem.
next year when we do this, we're gonna be like, damn, we were so rudimentary of how we're trying to describe. We're getting to it, but we weren't really able to. I mean, who knows if we were able to. But I just think it's interesting, some of the conversations we've had tonight about like production, songwriting, you know, like raw, and all the ways that the scene's probably going to start going right now. And I don't know, all of it, honestly. So interesting. Always fruitful here at the Brutality Podcast on the internet.
Thank you. Can you imagine Cam just goes all out on AI and just do a full album AI?
Yeah.
And so
next year, oh no.
I train a model on
for the rest of
just
the
like let it
year,
rip.
just AI. Like he released like AI merch, AI music, everything.
Like, dude, check this. Normally I'm making 30 songs a year, but with this AI shit, look at the numbers, man. 1,000 a year, man.
I've scanned myself in on my talking head videos or like.
You're not even with us next year. It's the AI of you in January.
Yeah,
and we're just like, are you good? Something's off. And it's like, no, I'm
glitching out. You know, like this art in the background, which was I think the same exact spot I was sitting in last year. It's like just kind of fucked up. Just didn't nail it right.
And the difference next year is every time we talk about AI maybe being a bad thing, you're mad. Like you get upset at every time. You're just like, what are you talking about?
Sensitive.
Like it's useful. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah, the AI version of me is getting like not like Cameron offended, but like its own genetic coding offended.
Yeah,
you know?
Trying to defend it, like what's wrong with it?
Mind.
Yeah, which is you know, Jan's is his like, we know where this goes. We've seen the movies.
It all starts with you, Cam.
Yeah, gosh, catalyst.
Yep.
All
right, man. Well, dude, thanks for hanging, man.
Thank you, man. For real.
I mean, look, we'll be talking between now and next year, anyways. But it's always
it's a privilege, guys. It's a privilege. So thank you for having me.
Welcome, dude. You're the only like annual, like that's the only thing we do like annually like that. It's you. That's it.
That's badass.
With 3 times now, it's officially a tradition, right? Like it's officially a recurring thing. So it's just every January, man. We got it.
No matter if it's you, if it's AIU, if it's something else, we're gonna do it. No matter what it is.
Yeah. I won't even go off on that right now. Like, what if we did this? All right, guys. Thanks for having me. Have a great rest of your night. And shout out, long live the Brutality Podcast.
Yeah, long live the big chocolate, man.
Oh, Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Take care, dude.
Peace.
If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you for watching. And hey, while you're here, hit that subscribe or follow button and a review. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, it would mean the world and it helps out more than you know. A big thank you as well to all of our supporters over on Patreon and on Twitch. New episodes every week, links to our Patreon, Discord, and socials in the description. We'll see you soon. We're out.